City council is too.
Ben didn't even know we were getting paid till like a year ago.
Wait, what?
Lincoln still doesn't know, it's still a secret.
Get on this.
It's his liability.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Badoo.
It's amazing what you can do with some creativity. You could be great guys. Put us in a Sterling Mike house. You could three. Make things look eight of them.
Brittany, do you have a pen, an extra pen? Oh, actually I got one. I'm good.
We hope that.
That's the skinniest I've ever seen. Just going in right here.
When did they gotta come up with a real?
I'm telling you, I was feel pretty proud of you. I was on the Rebel Club too. I wasn't on the Rebel Club. I think you look really good. Jen said that the skinniest I've ever seen.
Adam, do we have
Who
recording
said that's
started?
all ready to go?
Okay, wonderful. All right.
Hey, here's Guy.
Hey,
Welcome, have a seat.
I'll sit by the mayor.
Yes. All right, well, welcome everybody. We want to kind of kick this off on time. We have a lot to discuss. And we are so grateful that you all took the time to come be here. We know that your time has been enormously involved. And so meeting with our city really means a lot. So I'm just gonna officially announce, this is for the record, we're opening the meeting here at the Timpanogos School District Board here at 5:15 p.m. on Monday, May 4th, here in the Lindon City Chambers. And I'll be conducting Mayor Carolyn Lundberg here for this work session. So welcome. We wanted this to be down here and kind of like a council circle versus you looking up at us on the dais. So we hope you're comfortable and we can just speak freely and yeah, we're excited about what's going to be happening in the future with you all. So we listed here a number of discussion items that we had thought of, and certainly anything that you want to discuss with us in ways that we can help as a city, we certainly welcome. And this is going to be a true partnership in our minds as a council and staff. So hopefully you had a chance to kind of look over this list. And yes, so first of all, who is kind of our Jen? All right,
Yes.
great. So
So first of all, we want to excuse Sterling Hilton and Grace Rex. They were unable to make it. They had other commitments. Sterling may come, but he didn't know if he could reorganize his schedule in time. So want to excuse them. And we are also excited to be here to get this partnership kind of continued to strengthen. We want to talk about our accomplishments first. So since we met last as the interlocal with the pass-off meeting, with the interlocal and passing things off to us to start getting to work, we were able to hire a superintendent. We want to thank the city of Lindon for utilizing this space to do our interviews. It worked so well, and we were a little homeless at that point. We didn't have a spot, so it was nice to be able to come here and have the help. Your staff was so helpful with that. We're appreciative of that. So we've hired Dr. Joe Jensen as our superintendent, and then shortly after that, we hired Jason Sundberg as our business administrator, and then they hired Karen Carter, who is our executive assistant, and I'm so grateful for her because she's taken a lot of things off of my plate that have been, she's just been very helpful. So we've also, then Joe started organizing. It was quick. We wanted to get things going as far as hiring employees and getting things started. So they have done a great job doing that. We were able to have our kickoff in March. I don't know who was able to attend that. It was a great start. We have a lot of momentum. We have a lot of excitement from a lot of our administrators and teachers looking forward to be a part of this district. So we're just thrilled with what we've been able to accomplish in these 5-6 months that we've been working. So yeah. So next discussion item is is there any questions about that? progress?
No, we're thrilled. I mean, that was one of the reasons why the interlocal wanted the legislature to change, that you could be sworn in
Mhm.
immediately, not wait till January 1, because I think, yeah, you're doing a tremendous job.
Yeah, that was very helpful.
Really.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, can you talk to them about the school we opened up? Because that will affect
Yeah.
some Lindon students.
Yeah, so we worked with ASD and identified the fact that our Dan Peterson School was going to be overcrowded. And so we made the decision as a board to go ahead and utilize the property in Orem at Sharon Elementary to create a short-term solution for those students to have a place to receive some great education.
So special needs, like
special
severe,
needs.
profoundly disabled students.
So it'll help students that will be coming from the Dan Peterson School in American Fork. They will be being educated. Hopefully, our hope is that that will start in August of this year. So any students that are in Lindon, that will be, I mean, for Lindon, I think it's probably equidistant between Dan Peterson and the Sharon School, but it will be a better location for some of our South Orem students.
We also opened up another school in the same facility for the 18 to 22-year-olds who post-high school transition. So if you think kids who are in the Pleasant Grove High or Timpanogos High that have special needs that are served at the local schools, they would come and be served at the T-TAC or whatever we end up naming it.
Timpanogos, what does it stand for, David?
Transition Education Center.
Yeah, so it's been ATEC, if you've heard of that at all, or temporary name, T-TEC.
ATEC used to be just down the hill, and then they moved it to American Fork, and we're bringing it back to Orem temporarily.
So, yeah, and we're excited about that.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, any other questions or comments about
I will make
progress?
a comment. I'm just having experience on both sides. I don't think this district could have been served better by the board that was elected and the people that you chose to lead and all the subsequent hirings that are going on. I just know these people very well, and I'm really grateful for what we have here. So I just want to personally say congratulations and thank you.
Thanks.
But if we're not sure about you.
No,
Don't let that taint, don't let that taint anything.
It's off the table. And now that we've had, so are you expecting, Sterling's joined us. Let's do really fast,
Oh,
just
yeah,
a quick introduction. So I already introduced myself here, and I'll just start.
Guy Fugel, I represent Pleasant Grove.
Jason Sundberg, the business administrator.
David Smith, and I represent west of the freeway in all of Vineyard and pieces of Orem.
Erin Carter, Executive Assistant.
Joe Jensen, Superintendent.
Michelle Sorensen, I represent the most north part of Orem, 8th north to 2000 north.
Cole Hooley, Lindon City Council.
Steve Stewart, Lindon City Council.
Ada Wilson, I represent the west side of Orem, around the Mountain View High School area.
Van Broderick, Linden Council.
Nathan Jacobs, Lindon City Council. Jake Hoyt, Lindon City Council, and graduate of Aspen, Oak Canyon, and PG.
And student when we were there.
Exactly, so.
And he was also a student.
Yeah, he taught me math in 8th grade back in the day.
Oh, my gosh.
Never.
When Steve was our
Pull out those records.
assistant principal.
Well, Westmore, Lincoln, Orem High.
Lincoln, stinking Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
No, Westmore Lake Ridge, Orem. That's right. Anyway, Sterling Hilton, I represent Southwest Orem.
And Jen Lyman, I represent Lindon and South Part PG.
All right, let's have our staff, because they'll probably be helping with the discussion as well.
Adam Cowie, the city administrator.
Heath Bateman, I'm the Parks and Recreation Director.
Mike Florence, community development director.
Brian Hawes, city attorney.
Mike Brower, police chief.
Right over here, and then we've got, go ahead.
Jamie Jensen, I'm a mom.
She's also
Linden
community,
Cares.
has Linden Community Cares.
Yeah, and I work for Lindon City as well, but I'm here as a mom.
Okay.
Dave Maurer, assistant superintendent of operations.
Zach Draper, the facilities director.
Nice to meet you finally.
We hired him, I don't know.
Did you want to introduce yourself?
We're just here to listen.
Okay, wonderful. Anything else on the accomplishments or overview of your first 5 months?
No, I think that's a very short overview, but with the 5 minutes, that's, yeah.
Okay,
That's what we got.
fantastic.
Boundary
Boundary.
study, status update. Yeah, we are starting our boundary study, so this is gonna be a comprehensive boundary study. We call it the MOABs, the mother of all boundary studies. And we're looking from the north end of the district all the way to the south, because we recognize that things have been kind of, just as development has happened, it hasn't been cohesive a lot of times, and so we're looking at trying to look at all of that. But also, our main objective is to create robust and thriving schools from kindergarten up to 12th grade. We want our schools to have the amount of students that will help facilitate good collaboration between teachers and be able to have enough specialties. We're also looking to our principals and some staff and our parents to get our criteria. So we know as a board, we recognize that we're 7 people, and we have an idea of what a robust elementary and secondary schools look like. But we also recognize, as I think we've learned in all this process, that the more information we gather from constituents, just learning, going to other schools, other districts and collaborating with them, we're finding we don't know everything. And so it's very helpful. So we are crafting actually a process for our boundary study that will allow us to set a criteria for what we want our schools to kind of have a framework, right? You would say a framework for, as we're doing this boundary study, how we're gonna do that.
So is there going to be a official public input process?
Yeah, but we're in early stages, so that's
You're
gonna be,
figuring out what
yep,
that will be.
yep, we're gonna start with some focus groups. We're going to have some, we just talked about this in leadership, so I'm saying things that maybe some of the board doesn't even know yet, but.
Boundary study?
We're creating committees that will have board members and principals and staff on them, and then we also want to help just set the criteria. That's gonna be our first step. We wanna know, okay, what are we looking at? When we're looking at this boundary study and trying to make all these changes and use this wonderful tool that actually Alpine School District has created that we can see, we can plug in addresses, right? Or create Jason's gonna be doing that part, that's why I keep looking at him. Yeah, that we can put a boundary and say, okay, what's this gonna look like? How's this gonna work? And we can keep playing with it. But until we have that criteria of what we're looking for to create a thriving school, then we don't have a lot of information yet.
Our agenda this Wednesday will include a study session wherein we'll talk about what a healthy school looks like.
At the elementary level.
At the elementary level. And then we're also officially launching the boundary study, which has a timeline that's regulated by law.
Yeah, so there are certain things, and we don't wanna just hit those things required by law. Our goal is to go above and beyond to make sure our constituents feel heard and that we are fully informed as to what we wanna do. And our goal is to look very far ahead, like 20 or 30 years down the road. We don't wanna be making decisions that are just good for the short
And then
term.
people feel disrupted and some years down the road.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
And that will also include a study of programs. That's another layer of complexity that we need to look at.
ALL and DLI programs. We're gonna do a lot of information gathering right now.
And I've been impressed just how transparent this board is about everything. There's no intent but to be completely open with everyone about what we're doing, so.
I would simply add again to your point about public input, I think we want to provide multiple touch points for that, not just the minimum and certainly not just at the end, but especially around when we're establishing the criteria. We want opportunities for public input on the criteria. When we're getting some ideas, we want public input on the ideas. And so multiple points along the way.
So yeah, any more questions about boundary study? It's gonna be the main focus, I think, of the board and staff through the summer. So we plan to.
And I
hit it
hope
really
that our
hard.
staff communicates well with, particularly with your city planner. I think we need to be talking with each other about what you have in mind and do our visions mesh?
Wonderful. Okay, the TSD projected financial overview, 5 minutes.
Jason.
5 minutes.
I think we're down to 2.
Yeah, just kind of a high-level summary here. So for many years, we've looked at okay, if this configuration was a district split or this one, what would it look like once we have the full data? So the last year we were able to do that, where we have actuals, is for fiscal year 25, which ended last June of 25. And so in looking at that, the schools that are in the Timpanogos School District and the estimated revenue that would come, just when we're looking at operations, it's estimated about an $18 to $20 million annual deficit. With how the schools, with the expenses that are at the schools, actual expenses, and then looking at it, okay, there was this many students, and this is an estimated overhead cost per student at the district level, we estimated that. So that's something we're looking at, and that 20 million, or 18 to 20 million, is about 8 to 10% of the overall budget there. So we're looking at ways. I did a presentation to the school board back in December, and just looking, how can we correct that deficit? So there's really 3 ways to do that. Just keep expenses where they are and raise revenue, which would be through property taxes, or be able to lower the expenses in the schools and keep revenue where it is, or some combination of both. So as we're looking at things, we're thinking that option 3 is going to be the most likely, as we're looking at different things to be able to make that work. The nice thing right now, Alpine School District has set up a building fund in the capital fund that generates for Timpanogos would generate about $20 million per year. So if there's something, the combination there, we won't have to necessarily do it all through raising taxes. There's some movement that can happen between tax levies to be able to make that up. But as Alpine closes this fiscal year that'll end in a month or so, we'll do another analysis of that and just keep planning. This summer we'll be able to hire, name budget directors, accounting directors, finance directors that will help to kind of build that budget. And then starting in December and January coming up, we'll need to build the official first budget for Timpanogos School District leading up to July 1st of 27.
And one thing I'd like to add is that what's been helpful is we've been working with ASD, and as we hire from employees that are current ASD employees, ASD is continuing to pay their salaries, because our $60 a student that we're getting would not cover the staff that we've hired to this point. So that is being covered by ASD, because they will continue to work for ASD. Like Dave and Zach are still working for ASD and are technically ASD employees through July of 2027, but ASD is gonna allow them to be our, work for us maybe 1 day a week starting in July. And they have time that they can help us right now too. So it's kind of this graduated, step-by-step transition to come in and work for us. So we're not paying. And Joe is working with Joel Perkins, who is the Aspen Peak superintendent, and Vicki Carter, who is the Lake Mountain superintendent. So they coordinate that. And they try to keep it even and fair as far as hiring, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
They're working well together. We are, yeah.
Great. I think a couple things that people have brought up is, are there, interlocal agreement opportunities to, have
Yeah, and we're
more
working on that.
mass versus reinventing the wheel for all 3.
Yeah, we're working on that with negotiations. So Sterling and I and Joe are on the committee that is negotiating with Lake Mountain and Aspen Peaks. And so, yeah, we are I think we have various things that we're working on. Intellectual property. How are we gonna handle stuff that was created?
IT was one, yeah.
IP. So intellectual property, how are we gonna handle that? Print services, transportation. There's a whole host of things that we are, it's in flow. So it's not that we can say or report anything, but it is in discussion.
And are there any bonds that are falling off in the near future where, maybe you could have a new bond that just replaces an old bond, so for the general public, property taxes just stay level?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the last few years, there's been, for GeoBond debt, a big drop off. Now it's kind of stable, but the next 8 to 10 years, the GeoBond debt will go away. The lease revenue bond goes out to about 15 or 16 years still, but at the lower amount. So as we're looking at, that's something we'll continue to look at, is if we need to do a new geo bond in a few years to be able to rebuild some schools, those type of things, we can be able to layer that in there that would kind of keep a constant rate on that debt service.
What is a geo bond?
Sorry, general obligation.
There we go, thank you.
Voted.
Lots of initials that we have to get up.
The LRB is kind of an internally funded.
The
You guys
lease revenue
use
bond is
lease
not,
revenue bonds.
doesn't require
A
ballot,
ballot.
a
A ballot.
balloted.
But we are limited as to how much we
Yes.
can.
Isn't it 200,000
200
every,
million.
200 million every 3 years or
Every
something?
3 years.
Yeah.
And the payment for those can't come from the debt service levy that the geo bond generates. So with the general obligation bond, the voters have approved that, so whatever the principal and interest is, the rate's just set there, whatever it is. But with lease revenue bonds, it has to be paid with operations or capital funds.
Back to this conversation. So you're looking at interlocal agreements between the 3 school districts to
Yeah,
provide
we're calling them,
services.
Yeah,
that will-
MOUs, memos of understanding
And
between the
potentially save the
districts.
cost of standing up from scratch,
Right.
things that may be on a smaller scale initially for each individual
Or
district.
most of them between Aspen Peaks and Timpanogos,
Mm,
just because of, not
well,
necessarily.
There's
It's a
more,
good mix,
there's more between Aspen Peaks and Timpanogos,
just because of
location.
geographically, we're.
But
we're
there are a
That's what-
handful that include all 3, like the print shop or the intellectual property.
So, and nothing has been signed. Those will be coming, as they're created. It's, you know how it works with, you have 3 different entities and something comes, it's like, oh, I don't like the way this is worded. We need to change this a little bit. Then it goes back to the drawing board and then so it's just a process.
Does that
Working
make
together.
sense?
Great. Moving on, the drop-off and pickup, traffic and parking congestion, safety at some of our schools.
Yeah, so this
I wanted
was,
to talk to you about.
I just in the first iteration of this, it mentioned Oak Canyon. And so I went and met with Oak Canyon about their issues. And they recognize that there is a lot of, concern there. But they have also they've hired a traffic engineer to come and work, and they have closed some entrances and exits to try to make the flow be more just one way. Some options that they suggested, but would be on your end as far as the city, would be paving to the west and being able to create a turn lane on Canal or Eagles Nest, whatever, I don't know if it's Canal Drive right there. And then the other would be making that a one-way. And so people could only come in from the south and then exit out through Canal Drive.
Some of the flow, our engineers have coordinated, and there has been some improvement on flow. Parking is
Parking.
still, and I know maybe our city administrator, Adam Cowie, could kind of share on the map with a pointer, some ideas that we've had with that.
And for time here tonight, maybe it's just we'll look at this really fast, but maybe just point us in the right direction for who we can talk with in the future, so.
We'll just give a quick.
This was never a problem when Steve and I were the assistant. And just to make it clear, we figured that out.
All right.
So right now and you're probably, most of you are familiar with this, is where we've got parents that stack all the way down this side of the roadway, and there's really not enough room for them to park. And then we have a huge amount of kids that I think their parents are just saying, go over to the church, and so this becomes a drop-off and pickup area, and a lot of congestion with kids on this intersection. And
Well over 100 cars that park there within a 15-minute period of time.
Yeah,
And the kids
I'm one of
across
them.
the street.
So what,
Yes, I'm
I
one
think
of
for
those parents.
the purposes of tonight, we can introduce ourselves to your facilities
Yes.
director there and talk more about this. And we know this is still Alpine School District, but just wanted to give you a heads up. And to kind of lead into the SRO conversation on that next bullet point, a similar issue, we know that's currently Alpine, but Jason and I have had a few conversations, and we'd love to talk more about that in the future, so.
Adam, would you just share the quick couple of ideas, like to use that back area a little bit utilize that for parking?
Yeah, our city engineer actually met with some of the people here at Alpine. It's probably been a year and a half or 2 years ago. This space back here, you can see actually it's underutilized with parking. And there is a little access road that goes around the back of the school. And so we've been curious if there's ability to put more teacher parking back here perhaps, where it frees up some space out front, just
So the concern
throwing
is
that out.
that down by the cell towers, that's a big drop-off location as well.
It is
And
right
so
here.
there's a lot of students, and where that's almost kind of a blind corner, they're concerned about, because they talked about also having buses do that, and then they could capture that north, parking lot a little bit better and utilize that for drop-off. But that turn, a school bus just can't do it. It can't turn that
Yeah.
90 degrees
So
without
I-
Teachers could have
greater.
additional parking back there and not be.
They
think
do
we've
use that
actually
green
got-
space, so they have a permanent 9 square now, back in that green space, and they are encouraging students to use
Oops.
the green space between the buildings a
And
little
that's
bit
really
more.
nice with the new cell phone policy, they've rolled out the activities that they provide for the students.
This is part of the concern right now, is we have a lot of parents that line the street, and we've got kids jumping across the roadway while there's also traffic going through it. And so we'll just wanted to introduce the issue to you tonight, and then we'll keep talking
Yeah,
about
so what
that.
they've done is they have that entrance, there's no exit there anymore. So that traffic flow should not be coming in and out right there. It should just be going in, and then you should just have it. And they've encouraged parents to just drop off actually up at that more northern, where it's just grass, and not do it in the parking lot area. So there should be a queue, but,
We'll
trying to
keep
get
working
parents
on
to do
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you tell them to do, sometimes doesn't work very well. Also, that back area, so we have the trailers back there. There is a little bit of parking back on that northeast corner. But that is also, that's where students go. So they come out that very north end, and then they walk over to the trailers. So we would want to, it makes sense that they keep that traffic minimized, just because there is
Yeah, currently,
concern.
the road there has had no parking signs all along that west boundary because the road isn't wide enough. It's a
Yeah,
more
so I was
narrow
talking
route.
with Ben about that, and
Yeah.
the canal is open to about halfway through where those trees are.
Yeah.
Is it possible to pave, because I searched the plat map, and it's owned by Alpine School District, but can we pave over that area
And that was
to
my
bring
question
that?
is, could we widen the road a little bit so there's actual proper parking? You can see in that photo, people
Or-
are illegally parking
or
there.
When you say
third-
parking,
or a
you mean
third lane.
standing, like,
Those.
they're not parking and going into the school?
They
Some
are.
of them are.
In
They
the
are,
evening,
okay.
especially
Okay,
for
thank you.
evening
Yeah,
activities, that
evening
whole road
activities
says
as
no
well. Thank
parking,
you.
but it's filled with people parking. And like Adam said, kids are running across the road because parents are waiting over there, but it's an undersized road profile already,
Yeah.
so.
Because I had been told, just as a parent, that we can't pave over canal, but then we followed that canal as it goes all the way through Orem and Pleasant Grove, and there's plenty of places where it's paved over, it's built over, so I don't know.
Can it be done? Yes, it would be very expensive because we would have to make sure that that canal pipe that's underneath it either supports that traffic load or is removed. And so,
There's some
Okay.
footage though, like the grass, there was
So-
a distance before the pipe.
not to belabor this, but you're asking to park vehicles here and
No,
then have
nothing.
kids cross the
No
street?
No, my ask would be to keep it that way, and we enforce that there's no parking there, but to get a third lane, have a turn lane.
We'll have to keep talking about this. So
Okay.
I'd love to
Yeah,
get
we'll
our
move
city
on.
engineer involved. So.
Yeah.
And the traffic's just gonna get worse with the temple traffic because of the nature of it.
Exactly.
There's gonna be a lot of people accessing the temple through this road.
All right,
is
so
a
that
concern.
leads us into our resource officer coordination, so.
You know, on this item right now, we just wanted to bring it to your attention that there's some disparity between what some of the SROs are being paid as far as the parent entity that hires those SROs. And so I was just bringing that to your attention. And then our chief had brought up some additional things with the agreement that we'd like to see addressed or looked at in the future. And so we can, again, I think tonight was just point us in the right direction, and we can start with your administrators and superintendents and
Is that you then, or would that be?
Follow up.
Yeah.
A year from now.
school resource officer.
Officer.
Yeah.
So that's Officer Campbell.
think you're talking about comparison with other cities, right?
Just send it.
Yeah, reimbursement.
Isn't that, is it, it was my understanding that it was standard through the district, right?
It's a
Yeah,
city.
just this current fiscal year we're in, there was budget approved to bring all the cities to the same reimbursement that Orem's paying for their, so the district-wide, it's the same amount,
Starting this year.
starting in the year, the year that we're in. Yeah. But then
Problem.
but I did check with Provo and Nebo, and they're in the same ballpark, but just a little bit higher. But my understanding, that's not what the officers are making, that's just the reimbursement from the district for
To
the
the
city.
city.
We do appreciate the SROs at all the schools, but I worked with 3 or 4 Adam Canyon that were just wonderful, that were Pleasant Grove for a bit, and then we switched over to Lindon and.
Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate that.
Those 2 items will be.
We'll keep talking.
All right, so our Parks and Rec Director, maybe Heath could share about how we'd love to have a little bit more collaboration with.
Thank you, Mayor.
Facilities.
You know, Nebo, speaking of Nebo District, they have the neatest thing. My colleagues in Nebo District have keys to the schools. And the schools have keys and a usage to the pools for their swim teams and for those situations. I would hope, I'm sure that Orem, if you just bump them, Pleasant Grove and Vineyard, all of us would be in the same. They don't even really keep track of what you rented, what we rented. They just kind of get together and sum it up. Well, you used a lot more than us, and maybe we ought to have a little money. But if that's working in Nebo, we would love, and we've been to ASD several times as Parks and Rec directors in the last 5 or 7 years and met with their assigned person for that, and they didn't seem much interested in it. We actually brought someone from Nebo to help explain it, and there wasn't much interest there from the current ASD folks. But if we could just look at that and see if we could just be a real good partner, and we take care of the janitor service instead of, just be a really good partner. We clean up, we take care of the buildings as if they were ours, and the school district would do the same for facilities that they need from us. In Lindon, it'll be a little different. We don't have a lot that the school district wants, but we also don't have a high school. So we've got a junior high gym and a couple elementary gyms, so we wouldn't have a big ask either. But maybe
Yeah,
we
so
could look at that.
What is currently utilized between, with Lindon Parks and Rec and,
We use Oak Canyon quite a bit, and then we use,
you use just the gym space, or do you use any field
we
space?
we don't use any field space.
Okay,
We'd love to, but we haven't used that in big field, but also the auditorium we've used.
okay.
And then the elementaries,
pageant.
mostly Lindon Elementary, it's close by us, and we've been able to drop over there and have a basketball league over there. Principals have been great. Kate Ross is outstanding, and she's been really helpful to us. But it could be a little easier and smoother for both, I think, if we could just figure. And then years ago, if I just might add one more thing, years ago, the school district, I don't know if they did it inadvertently or not, but it seemed that they put like the AAU basketball as a priority ahead of the city rec programs. So those groups were getting priority gym time because of the revenue, I'm sure. But that really hurts us who are charging $30 a kid for recreation basketball.
And is it safe to say that you guys are increasing more of your field sports? It seems like
Yeah,
your
we're
program's
always
getting a little more
building.
robust.
Yeah, we had about 600, 700 kids in basketball, maybe not quite 7, but 650 in basketball, but our soccer is 12 or 1,100, right around there, kids. So we're growing, and we service a lot of South Orem and some of Pleasant Grove.
So many of our kids bleed over into attending schools in other cities that these aren't just Lindon.
So I don't think this is a Lindon ask. I think if you ask the other cities, yeah, the other directors, we're all on the same page. It would just be like maybe Nebo handles that. I don't know the exact details, but it's more of a partnership than you rent from me and I'll rent from you. And then my rates go up and your rates go down, and so we could just maybe look in that in the future.
And we have collaborated with Nebo, I have anyway, with their president down there, so I will put that on my.
Who is it that we would talk to in Nebo, do you know?
I have to admit, I think I would pass this off. Well, I have a couple of colleagues in Springville, in the city of Springville, and I don't, because we don't have a big ask for schools, I don't know the contact person right now.
Okay.
but the Orem,
talk with Shannon Acorn at the.
yeah, and there's, it's just been, when my colleague jingles the keys to the schools and says, well, we don't have to have that much.
Find that out.
Something that we
Send
do
that
as a
to
city
me.
that, I mean, maybe we could all mention a couple of the things that we contribute to the schools is, you know, Lindon Elementary, just a few months ago, they had an emergency drill enacting like if there was, you know, an active shooter, and they used our community center as the place for parents to pick up and kind of have the operations there. So, you know, our community center is very interchangeable with Lindon Elementary. We also do mini grants to all the teachers out of our budget every year, and we, I think, how many grants did we get this last year? 22 to teachers that they can apply for here, and at Aspen, Oak Canyon, all the elementaries. So,
Jen, I'm happy to find out from my colleagues who that
Or I
point
can reach
person
out to
is.
Shannon,
Okay.
it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm happy to find that out. And when Kate was at this school here, when Kate Ross was here at this school, she'd call me up and she'd say, problem with my gym, I got an assembly, come on over. And that was a really great partnership, and it was so slick, so nice.
Yeah.
Instead of worrying about too much of the fee schedule, to be honest with you.
and a lot of the kids at the last week of school, they call up Heath and they come have a swim day. Cool. On the last week of school too, so.
Depending
We're
on if
covered.
it's snowing the last week of school or not. It's been crazy. We tried to do swim parties, sometimes it's like, oh, it's 53 degrees, we're not gonna go to the pool. Okay,
All right, so update on the potential TSD admin office. We've heard some percolating.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be in Lindon.
so, as it sits right now, we are looking to utilize our current campus there that we have in Lindon. So we're
The former
looking at
bus
different,
storage
Yeah.
facility.
well, yeah, so that, we're just calling that our Lindon, so it houses physical facilities now and, technology and purchasing. So that's where Joe and Karen and Jason have their offices, is in that building right there, 490 North State.
Yeah, there's a good piece of land in front if you needed to build and expand.
Yeah, so that's our thinking right now, so, and there's a lot of space behind, yeah, that's actually being used a lot. That's where the main facilities for Alpine School District is housed. They have a whole, almost business thing happening back there with electrician, HVAC, plumbing, carpeting, carpentry. Yeah, so, really great asset that we're taking ownership of, and we have ideas on how to make use of that space. So, and we love that it's centrally located, it's on State Street, so, I mean, we just think that's a
Visibility
good
and
location.
access.
Yeah.
Is there anything you need from the city in regards
there
to
a-
this?
Is there a height regulation?
Yeah, zoning as far as,
48 feet, so 4 stories.
oh, we'll be way under.
Is that including any steeples we put on it? We have to have 2 steeples.
Yeah, if you do have any site planning issues or questions on utilities, Mike
Michael
Lawrence
Florence.
with our community development office, he's the guy to talk to. And
Guys can be friends.
enter through the lower side on our building, just down here on the lower parking lot, and their department can totally help you out.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have a
Excited.
city plan as far as planning for the future?
Like our general plan and.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that road was originally planned to connect all the way through. I don't, on the
I think
street
that's
master plan.
changed now.
Yeah,
It's changed now officially. So, different way, so if you ever need to consider configuration or. The property there is for sale. There's about an acre for sale adjacent to that.
North,
What?
on the north?
Yeah, on the Locust, there, the south,
Oh, yeah,
east
by the
corner,
chapel.
the southeast corner, southeast
Southwest.
corner is for
Oh, really? Where's that at?
Bottom
Brown
right
roof?
Next to the residence.
It's a residential, the residence there in the very
Oh,
bottom right-hand corner.
Sheree Sondrup.
It's the Sondrips.
Okay,
Yeah.
Their lot is.
It's like,
is down.
yeah.
Bottom right.
Bottom
All
right,
right,
yeah.
Okay,
and
thank
then the, along State Street, so the southwest end,
Corner lot.
there, I've heard that the owner of that is planning to develop or do something there. I don't know if you wanna look into that or coordinate, but something's happening there.
Good.
Do you have any updates on that?
I don't.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
Could be
our
for
goal is
some-
to put something that's it's going to be attractive and would be an asset to the city of Lindon, so we will be in touch. Yes.
Lindon, we're gonna call Lindon our home.
Yeah.
That's right.
No?
It'll be the district seat.
Great.
We're hoping that you put in a Maverick close to that. My refill.
You're gonna get a Buc-ee's, you gotta get a Buc-ee's.
That's a very that's an example of a very temporary need. We're thinking long-term.
There is a
Long term.
swig and a fizz.
Okay, all right.
Walk south.
Isn't that the lot there on 400 North?
Yes.
Yeah, they talked about putting a gas station there early, but the wife of the person who owns it said he would need to find a new wife. So it's possible.
But I don't know that they still own it. I've heard that the ownership may have switched hands now. Are they?
Yeah, it was
corner?
the same people that Councilman Jacobson was talking about,
Okay.
Carson's.
The Carson.
Yeah, his wife.
Those owners, okay, not the original owners, Azersons.
Correct.
Across from Pizza Factory.
Papersons were sold it.
Oh, yeah.
He said his wife
Azersons
had
sold it
next to a gas
to the
station.
Carsons. They have that little rodeo
So
ranch
is
property.
that an administration building in the near future, or the next couple of years, or is it?
We will need to have it completed by the time we have employees. We need to have a place to put our employees, so.
So we're hoping our
Yeah.
plan is within a
Fast
year,
track.
year plus.
So,
Yeah, I would encourage your staff to start talking to Mike sooner than later.
okay, so, hey.
We are getting through this. Good job.
So good. Yes. I looked at this and I was like, there's no way.
I know,
We're gonna be here 2 hours.
Like, there's no way. There's a way.
Okay, so future meeting schedule, we would love to, coordinate, collaborate.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned in the past, in the beginning, sometimes quarterly, biannually,
Yeah, whatever the council would like. We are meeting with Orem, so we did Orem a couple weeks ago, tax day, then. And we came to the agreement that we would do it 3 times a year, so every 4 months. But we are open to whatever you guys think. It might be more appropriate for us to do it more often since there is.
us being the seat.
I love the ownership.
That goes along with
I love the ownership.
Now, you do know that Lindon is the High Elves of Lord of the Rings. It is the capital of the High Elves.
Oh,
There
so
you
you
go,
are.
they're embracing that, they're embracing that.
Okay.
It's go along real good, right?
Let's start talking about Pleasant Grove.
He knows I'm just getting a dig at him.
It just beats me out.
All right, anyway, so.
So yeah, we
Yeah,
would be
no.
fine with quarterly. I mean, we
I mean,
have to
it
match
sounds
the other
like-
cities.
I mean, we can play it by ear, or we could just, council, staff,
Yeah.
let's.
Speak up, board.
Yeah, I think
What do we think?
Orem suggested, since there were 4 cities that we were coordinating with, that we could do one a month and hit everyone throughout the year. So that was their
Well, my
thought.
thought was to get, like, in my brain, I was thinking, okay, each quarter, there's 3 months, so we'd hit each city and then double up one of the months. But then, so when they wanted to do it at 3 times a year, I was like, okay, that's fine, I didn't push the issue.
It's totally up to you. So.
3 times a year would be once with every 4 cities
Yes.
per month, just.
Yep.
Well, we just have a meeting a month, but it hasn't really happened that way because we're gonna double up in May. And so I imagine that there's gonna be,
I know you're still figuring out the boundary study thing, but I would highly encourage that there's lots of meetings. And we can come here, I don't know if you plan to do it in the different cities. We really want to
Open
make sure
houses.
people
Yeah.
feel like, and I liked your comment, early, not towards the end, that they're involved all of the way. The transparency comment, that's going to be critical. And from the budget type of a thing, everything we're doing to save money is be the things I think to focus on as well, to make sure people know those are looked at. I know they are, but it's helpful when people hear what's.
And I'm gonna push back on you, Van, because we're gonna focus on the best teaching and learning experiences for our teachers, for our kids. And any budgetary savings is gonna be a side effect. That's not gonna be our main focus. Our main focus of this board, and I think of our staff, is going to be providing the best education. We have 3 new districts that are gonna be in close geographical proximity. So, and I've talked with Carolyn about this before, we want to attract our students back, and so we're focused on doing
One
on
of the
doing
things
that the best way we
that
can.
can solve the revenue issue is attracting back people who have chosen other educational
Other options.
platforms.
Yeah.
And in Lindon, there's a big example of that. So,
So that's
having-
what you're gonna
yeah.
hear, our focus is gonna be a lot on what is creating the best schools. What is that gonna look like? And yes, I agree that there's gonna be some cost savings that will come
Yeah.
along with that, but that's not gonna be our why. Our why is what is gonna be best for the teaching and learning of our students.
To Van's point though, about the meetings and possibly even having a meeting here, one of the things I appreciated about our visit with Orem is they talked about using Orem's communications platforms to help get our message out. And so
That would be
those types of things would be really helpful as well. I think anytime we can get as many stakeholders, and you guys are obviously very influential stakeholders, you know, helping promote a message of this is about robust schools
And
and,
positive.
you know, right, and that's gonna help because it's, no matter what we do with any kind of consolidation, it's gonna be high emotion. right?
Yes, it will be,
And
it's
so-
challenging.
So how we do it matters and who we can.
Yes, the messaging and getting everyone on board, feeling heard and on board. And I just have to give Van some kudos. I think to what Van is speaking to and what this council demonstrates, what this staff demonstrates is in Lindon, we are a small town, big amenities, but we often find out-of-the-box solutions to minimize raising taxes and fees, but not compromise service and quality of life in our community. So I think that's the spirit of the message is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The student experience, that's why we do this.
It's really easy to raise a tax and a fee versus just dig deep and find ways to just economize it and still get a great.
Well,
you
that's
know,
what I'm
delivery
excited about
service.
with, the way Joe has set up his structure is it's super focused on that teaching and learning. And what that actually does is there could be some savings cost-wise as far as having a smaller district, a little bit smaller district staff than just replicating everything that we need and, replicating what ASD has done. And so his attention at having we call them the Super Six. So it was the first 6 hires that he did. They also are gonna be supervising schools, so that takes out a layer of supervisors that ASD currently has just because of their size, that they have the cabinet level, then they have supervisors, then you have the schools.
That's a great
So
example.
we're trying to think outside the box, and if we're all
additional
kind
And
of,
it also
yeah,
puts district
we are
leadership
open.
very close to schools,
Yeah.
which sometimes that distance creates some issues.
Something that I think I've heard, and I'm sure you're hearing and will hear, is when it became an east versus west kind of tribal situation before the split, a lot of people here are saying we still want to have, we don't want these big giant magnet schools that everyone's commuting to and driving to, and then they're huge. We still want to have that balance of the walkable, bikeable for the children, neighborhood schools. They really are an asset in the community, what they do for quality of life and economic prosperity and just the kids having that anchor and the families having anchor. So we hope that the mindset for this district will be not gigantic super schools that everyone has to drive to, but we understand there's gonna potentially be some property boundary shuffling the deck, whatever, but
But I've understood that when you talk about robust schools, that's really the concept,
Yeah.
as I've understood it.
Yeah, is being able
That
to
if you
provide,
have robust schools,
Mhm.
you've got everything
Yes.
you need in that area.
yeah,
Is that
being
right?
able to provide, like, we're looking at specialty and programs and, because our payments, our costs as a district are going to be people, right? So it's the teachers and the staff, and we want to maximize that, not, and don't hear maximize that we're going to make huge schools, but it's just maximizing each property to be able to impact each student's learning at the highest level, so.
We want our students to have choice, and sometimes when our schools get so small, they don't have choices, as far as which teacher they're going to be assigned to. And
Or
then-
having extra specialties, like if
Right,
you get a small
exactly.
school,
Specialties
you
reduce.
can't have art and music and PE as a specialty. And so it impacts the whole school, all the kids and the teachers.
And sometimes principals are forced to make those hard decisions where he or she combines grades, which is the worst.
Yeah, Rocky Mountain next year is going to have a first, second grade split. So you will have a class that has half first graders and half second graders. And that teacher has to try to manage that.
So
And
those
that
are
is
the
a function
things.
of it's a small school and they don't have as much give when it comes to offering. Yeah, when you have, yeah, you just don't have the population.
But these are all things that we want to discuss in public meetings.
Part of the criteria.
Yeah, it's gonna be part of the criteria that we're looking at as we're crafting this whole framework on how we're gonna be looking through, the lens through which we're
Kind
looking.
of what student populations, and I love that you said too, you won't necessarily be myopic and like, what's the population these schools will have in 2027 or 2028?
Yeah,
But what's a starting point that we can at least make sense financially, but assuming we're gonna grow, because we're gonna win back some of the families that have left public ed and then, right,
Yep,
so,
that's our-
and grow in
that's
the
our
next
hope.
decade.
and, so I didn't mention it in our accomplishments, but I'm very proud of us for having done this, so I wanna mention it, and maybe we can end with it, cause I see people coming this. But, we visited as a board wholly, we noticed our field trips, and we visited every physical facility in our area, plus a couple in Aspen Peaks area. We made the decision early on that we can't make decisions about properties we've never seen. It's informed our understanding in so many ways to have actually had boots on the ground at all these properties. Now currently, we're in the middle of doing our vision tour, call it. Joe is presenting our vision for the district at each school to a group of administrators, the teachers, our staff, students, which has been so fun, and parents that are involved there in the school as we've been trying to craft our vision. So that's something that we're almost done with. I think we did finished 19?
Number 18.
18 today, 18 of 29, so we have 11 to go.
30.
But I don't know that we're
Can I just-
We're not visiting the specialty
31
school right now,
technically
okay? We're
then,
not.
David.
Can I just mention, Carolyn, I would really be interested in the future in your city and your goals, your priorities,
Yes.
and how we might be able to support each other
Oh, that would be wonderful.
in that. And anyway,
Yes.
just a little more about.
Let's get
Lindon's-
together again soon.
Yes.
It sounds like there's, we're excited that this will be the admin home, and obviously, as you're getting information, let's keep meeting frequently, at least in the
Every
future.
3 times a year, does that sound
Yeah,
good?
that'd be fantastic.
Okay.
Who is your communications contact?
Adam Cowie.
Okay,
our-
if
and
we
the
have
chair.
information, I'll shoot it your way.
And Cole's our liaison from a city council standpoint with the board.
And I'm sure that Karen, you have
Karen.
contact with your executive secretary.
Adam, you have Karen's info, right? That's how we organize
Yes,
this.
we emailed back and forth. They'll set the
The
meetings.
interlocal board's pretty much dissolved.
That's
But Cole did awesome.
You just got voted on.
I'm creating new positions.
That's right.
If I
Add it
could,
to your council responsibilities.
School
Add it to
liaison.
the list.
Mayor, if I could, for the board, Lindon Elementary is right next to our campus, right? We have this Lindon campus here, and so we're very interested in the future of Lindon Elementary. A lot of our residents go there. Want to just invite you to open that conversation with us early and often, what your thoughts are there, and love that you're on the tour, love that you're looking at it, and just keep us informed and we'll keep you informed as well.
I've been to Lindon Elementary 100 times in my career when I worked for Alpine and then on this board tour. I never knew until we did this.
The amphitheater.
That there's an
Amphitheater, that's
amphitheater
awesome.
back.
That's from the old school.
The old Lindon Elementary?
The old original.
Okay. And then we drove by it, I don't know who I was with a couple days ago, we drove by it, maybe we ran by it, and saw it from the back end, like, it's like, oh, it's right there. Was that you and I, or, yeah.
It's a huge field.
Yeah,
It's an asset maybe could be utilized.
Yeah.
But to
You guys
that,
wanna buy it?
Well, that's where I feel like we need to really coordinate closely.
yes, and
with your
because
board.
that school is part of our campus, we've actually held off on either rebuilding or upgrading our community center, which has seismic issues. We're kind of saving a contingency fund, just kind of waiting to determine what's happening
Where
with
we're
that
gonna
property across the street. Originally, when there was word maybe ASD would rebuild, again, we were waiting to see how to coordinate best. Or if it's a disposed, I think the city would be interested in what that looks like for the city to acquire it. But obviously, I think a lot of families are hoping, we'll see, as you do that public input and you do your Moab, right? Where that goes. We'd love to keep in close contact
For sure.
to
You guys will be
figure out what we need to do
on my
with our
speed
campus.
dials. I got Cole on my speed dial.
Well, and I really, in relation to the boundary study, because that's what's going to be generating a lot of interest, and understandably and necessarily so, it's really important that we communicate, and I hope that you will communicate as well, that everything is on the table and no decisions have been made.
Yeah.
So we aren't approaching this with, oh, we really know we're gonna do this, 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 and this, but we have to go through this. Like, no, everything is being considered.
You're open.
And we have not made any decisions. So
Great.
we want to hear what people are thinking, how they're feeling, and we would appreciate that if you could communicate that as well in the opportunities. That is genuine on all of our parts.
And it's exactly that why it's so important we have that criteria up front, because we're gonna make better decisions if we have a criteria to follow, rather than we're just saying,
Responding
we
to an
want
emotion.
schools that are this size. Because there may be a school that, for that context, it's perfect at 500, but it's better for this school to be 750, right?
Yeah,
So,
and if your city's gonna grow, you mentioned students coming back, but do you have growth areas that, we need
Yes.
to know about? And
We do.
people make decisions about where they're gonna build, where they're gonna live,
Correct.
based on schools.
So we know Alpine purchased some property on the west side of Linden for a future elementary is
Anderson
what we
Farms,
understood. And
yes.
so as you're touring.
We've already been there.
We've been there.
Gone
We've been
past
there.
the property
We've been
too?
there,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep, that was early days. In fact, I don't think, we hadn't even hired Joe and Jason when we went and toured that. Yeah, so they need to do that.
Let's do it.
Are you gonna add it to the district dash?
Yeah. There's some parents who have said to me, if Lindon has to, for whatever reason, be disposed of, they would love to see that west school stood up so there's a clean transition to progress over there.
Say that again, Mayor.
If, in the past, I'm just saying, some opinion was, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but when Lindon Elementary has been on the closure list for a number of years, so there's a lot of families that are very, the ALL program is doing amazing there, but that's caused some families to not enroll in Lindon Elementary because they think it's been on this closure discussion for 6 years. But some families who are very invested in Lindon Elementary were very happy to hear that maybe there would be a school in Anderson Farms that could transition to ALL or, whatever happens there. If
Yeah, and
it's all
we've
of it.
kind of made a commitment that we're going to, our decisions, the major decisions will be made by December. I think that's something that we talked about, because that unknown for
They've lived with it
teachers
for a long
and,
time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah, for teachers and for students and families, it's that.
Unsettling.
And we're trying to come in and do this the right way and but do it quickly and be able to let people know so that as they're making plans and decisions,
Yep,
they have,
they know the roadmap.
yeah, they have their
Plug
options
into.
laid out. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, this
Any
has
other
been
comments
great.
from my board? Thoughts?
Love Lindon.
Oh my gosh, we finished a minute early.
Is your council meeting at 6:30?
We start at 5:15 normally, but we're gonna go into our regular council session now. Thank you so very much.
Thank you all. Appreciate you coming.
You guys meet on Monday night.
I just wonder if your population is elderly, like,
The answer is always leadership, David. Just remember that. It's always
I'm ready for another beer.
Communications.
Yeah, I get a new
We
computer
started
about a
as
month,
the
so.
seven of us. Okay, so then how did we go?
Yeah, you go.
And that kind of fell to the Lindon one.
You're gonna go Well, we were even thinking, show, learning, student experience. This is how we, dedicated to this. I didn't want to bring that up. Appreciate all you do.
I'm gonna cry.
Let's just do it right now. Let's do it. I know, it's like, it's so nice just collaborating and connecting and
This is what we've been doing. And it's.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
How was Macedonia? My next to it. There's three of us. It'll be in the training group. It's in there with three of us. Four parts. And they made a report to how happy they were having me there. And oftentimes
It's called our 4 o'clock, 4 to 5.
see you down there.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. See you, Mayor. Different hat, but good to see you.
You want to go first, or you want to?
No, I don't want to.
Okay.
Besides the fact that comes in, I'll go first. Can we sit down? Can I stand up?
Yeah, we don't have
I'm just talking about if there ever comes a lull. If it's not. Yeah, that was my whole point there.
Right back on again. When I said, hey.
No, I wasn't putting them together.
Okay.
But just, when you go to do that.
It's all AI, man.
I know, it is so fun.
It's crazy.
It's just crazy how easy it is, right?
Yeah.
How do you go, Joel?
You have any questions? A pen? Oh, are we missing the pen? Somebody walked off with that. She's got it.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Hold on,
Again, from what was mentioned there, it's super sensitive. The top there, on the chart.
No jerky today.
Yeah, that could be, it doesn't have to happen twice. It's just like, because I don't want to. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and, invested a lot.
I'm throwing it in transfer.
Like, yeah.
I graduated from law school and I learned perfect. And it was such a good program.
Where have we gone?
And then everybody's going, well, I can't open Word Perfect. I can only use Word, so I had to convert to Word. And I hate it. And now we're just the lowest common denominator. We hate Word is so good.
Steve, let's be reasonable on what we can be reasonable on, you know what I mean? So,
Again, what's another solution? What can we do?
Yeah.
Which Phil was really good at, but it took him a while to get there.
yeah, I agree, you know, and complaints are very much like, this is costing me lots of money. How can we just have a better, easier conversation? I'm willing to do it right, and I want to do it right, but, and it's hard because I'm getting one side of the story.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? But I know that he kind of has a reputation of,
You heard me make my comments when he was here.
yeah.
And I didn't know about your text, you know, that was going to come, but that was kind of, I hope we're still moving.
It was interesting because you said that, and it seemed like it started right then, just a bunch in a row, and I'm like, I wonder if Van's hearing things too because of that comment. I had that same thought.
I'll say hi to you guys.
We're actually gaining a little access because we're helping.
Busy time for you guys.
You guys too. Going to the temple tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
Heather is.
Be the first one.
It's her first shift. She's gonna be there. I'm on Wednesday.
All right, welcome, everybody. We just concluded a work session with our new Timpanogos School District Board and staff, and a lot of exciting things coming on. It looks like Lindon City will be the home of the new school district headquarters, admin location, and so that work session was a public meeting, and if you're interested in some of the topics that were discussed. But we will now commence. We had a short recess as they were exiting, and we will now commence with the rest of our city council meeting here for May 4th. May the 4th be with you here in the Lindon City Council chambers. And we have some fun visuals here that I'm going to ask our admin to put up after the prayer. So, anyway.
It should be before.
We might need help. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and begin. My name is Mayor Carolyn Lundberg, and I'll be conducting this evening. I'm grateful for a full quorum here of our council here in the Lindon City Chambers. And we will first begin with an invocation by Councilmember Van Broderick, and that will be followed by a Pledge of Allegiance led by Steve Kafusi.
Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the many blessings Thou hast given us. We're grateful for this great country that we live in and for our community here in Lindon. Grateful for each of the residents that live here and for their contributions to making this such a great place to live. We are grateful for our staff, our first responders, and those who work so hard to serve the citizens of Lindon and our community. Please bless and be with them and keep them safe and in their responsibilities. We'd invite Thy Spirit to be with us now as we discuss the items on the agenda, that we can make good, informed decisions and have mutual respect and dignified dialogue one with another. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, guys, where's your lightsabers?
Wow, I love it.
Actually,
Are we doing
this
this?
is my
We're doing
father-in-law's. He served a mission in Japan back in the 1940s. This is actually a
actually pretty
genuine,
Kimono?
for the men, for a man. So anyway.
But
kinda
it
looks-
fits your
But
costume
look.
look. That's,
I don't have I don't have that costume.
Am I the only one from the dark
It's a
side?
little,
I'm worried about me on the dark side. I'm glad you put the lightsaber in there because I
we
was
changed it
looking
to
like
blue
a-
just for you. But you've got to show some of the other pictures in the staff report. So Adam did this, it's so clever.
There, unless you really want to show them off.
Show the header, though, you skipped
header?
that. The very first.
We have a new
there we go.
logo here.
That's our
too
new
today,
city
so
logo.
There we go.
Galaxy far away. Okay,
Up a
Lindon.
little bit here.
Okay, all right, so we will now start with our agenda. These can be found at the entrance there if you'd like to follow along. I'd like to welcome those that are online as well as those that are present here today. And we'll start with our roll call, so I'll start here on my right.
Steve Stewart, present.
Wait, present.
Present.
Cole Hooley, present.
Lincoln Jacobs present.
Van Broderick, present.
Okay, wonderful. And then if there are any presentations and announcements from council, I don't know if we have any from staff this evening.
Nothing tonight.
Wonderful. This takes us to item number 3 on the agenda, which is our open session for public comment on anything that is not on tonight's agenda. So I know we have some guests in the room, and I feel like Mayor Kafusi, former Mayor Kafusi here, and former council member, friends, who wants to go first? David, Spencer? Okay, ladies first. And Mayor Kafusi. And Mayor Kafusi nodding her head as I feel like I'm a little bit, I have to watch my P's and Q's.
You are perfect, Madam Mayor. And honorable council members, my name is Michelle Kafusi, and I did have the honor and privilege of working with a lot of you. I mean, from the league and all the other opportunities we've had to collaborate together, and we just love Lindon. I love your chief of police. I mean, just so many great relationships with you. And as Mayor Lundberg stated, I am here because there is an election coming up on June 23rd, the primary for the county commission. There's 2 seats. We only have 3 county commissioners, and seat A and seat B are up right now. And I am running for seat A. And I know, Mayor Lundberg needs to just walk me up Center Street in Provo and drop me off. Because why do I keep doing this? And I was just sharing with your chief, my boys were helping me load the truck to go to an event, and one of them stopped and said, "Mom, do you just love public ridicule? What is wrong with you?" I said, "I don't know." I tried to sit still and calm the
We're all,
burning inside me.
all of us have the same trauma bond, okay?
Yes, what is wrong? But I really do. I love people problems, and I love people, and I love helping them solve their problems. And I feel like I've got the energy and the desire to keep giving back. So I am just here to introduce myself and ask you to look for my name on the ballot. It will come out on June 4th in your mailbox. So here we go again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Glad you're here.
For all your work on the Provo Airport. We flew out of there 2 weeks ago, my whole family. It is, we flew all the way to Europe, from Provo to Europe. It's
amazing,
incredible.
right?
Great work.
Look at me, I'm getting goosebumps.
You're awesome.
This is what is wrong with me? I'm getting goosebumps over infrastructure.
Nerd out over that kind of stuff. All right, thank you. And Mayor Kaufusi, in her time as mayor, she served on over 16 different boards throughout the state. She wasn't just mayoring Provo, she was advocating and really an incredible servant statewide, nationwide, I would say even globally, potentially, some of the things that she touched. So huge talent there. All right, welcome.
So I'm David Spencer, mayor and council. I was on the Orange City Council for 12 years, and I didn't get elected in December, so lost by 200 votes. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring for Utah County Commissioner seat B. And the concern I have with the county is, in the 12 years I was on the council, I didn't have one commissioner come to Orem and ask what our needs were. And I think that's a misstep on their part, where they represent the citizens, plus they represent the cities in Utah County. So I feel that my plan is I want to go to every city, look at your master plan, your transportation plan, see what your needs are, and then be able to, because I believe that Utah County, we're fragmented. Everybody's doing their own thing. So if we can get on the same page, then we can go to the legislature and really fight for dollars for Utah County. And I believe that the legislature, the leadership is pretty much in Davis County. So they get a lot of the money, right? So Utah County is the fastest growing county, right? So we need to make sure that we get the dollars for our cities in Utah County. I have a lot of good ideas. There's a transparency report I want to bring to the county, because county commissioners now, you don't even know if they go to their meetings. How do they vote? You know, are they traveling foolishly when, if you're a Utah County commissioner, you should stay in Utah County or go to the state legislature. You need to go back to Washington, because that's why you have congressmen and senators. So I'm here to represent the cities. You know, I love Orem, I love Lindon. I remember I spoke at your Lindon City Council way back in the day, went to Utopia. But I'm here to serve the people and make sure that we come together as cities. But hopefully you'll see my name on the ballot June 23rd, and I'm David Spencer, and hopefully I can get your vote. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
David, if each of you, who's currently filling each seat you're running for, if you don't mind?
So Amelia Powers, I think, is seat A. And then Brandon Gordon is seat B. They're not running.
And neither are running.
The incumbents are retiring.
No incumbents.
Yeah.
So we have 3 people running for seat B. I won the convention at 52%, but I didn't get 60. So we have a write-in candidate, which they'll be on the ballot, and so there we go.
Okay.
So yeah, it's fun. I was on for 12 years, so campaigning was a little different animal in the city compared to the counties.
And maybe you could talk a little bit, I know you've been a huge partner, proponent with the first responders and Orem, and we have this interlocal agreement with Orem, Lindon, Vineyard, and you were kind of the main liaison guy for Orem City on all that.
I support the first responders 100%, because they keep us safe, and we have to make sure that our citizens are safe, because that's your police, fire, water, roads, and sewer. That's the city's responsibility for the citizens, and that's the top of the list. So I think as Orem, we have a great police department and a fire department, and you use Orem's fire department, and they're the best. And we're glad that we can keep, you know, Lindon's citizens safe. But I'm pro first responders, because they put their life on the line every day, and they might not come home to their families because they gave their life. So very important that we have to make sure we keep them safe, and we give them money they need to help us be safe. So thank you.
All right, thank you for coming, both of you. We know it's a lot of work away from your families right now to try to step up and serve. So thank you so much for coming and being willing to come to the small town of Lindon.
Well, I'm glad we didn't have a clock, Because normally there's a clock.
Oh, no pressure, we're not high pressure like that.
There's just a door underneath. You're good. You were right on time.
See you. See you. Thank you.
All right.
I think if you could call if there's any other public comment, there might be some
I'm
more.
going to invite that right now. If there's any other public comment, please come forward and state your name and make sure you sign in there on the table. Thank you.
That works. Thank you, Mayor. My name is Brian Lazo, and I live in Orem, Utah. And I'm glad to be speaking today because I lived in Provo at the time Michelle Kafusi was mayor, and my parents who live by one of the temples kept talking about her. And Dave Spencer actually assisted in my current apartment in Orem, the driveway being fixed. So I really appreciate it, and I do think he is someone who stands by his word and the citizens of Utah County. And I can't say enough how good of a job you're all doing in Lindon, and I love the model that you've held in Utah County for getting results for citizens. And that's what I want to talk about today. I spoke earlier the previous month because I felt like the voice of the youth needs to be heard, and instead of division, we need to be collaborating together. And with the recent events of the Trump assassination and the gas prices being increased, including here, due to the Iran war, I feel like my voice does need to be heard again. And I wanted to make 3 points today. The first one was a culture of safety. And I feel like at this time, it's important for us to come together and to bond on our shared goals and to really look out for each other's security and safety and maintain a culture of safety, meaning we all get together and care about each other and each other's shared issues. And the second point is what I feel the city's already doing, the energy and resource issue. We condemn international violence, but not because we want to get into fights with the entire world, but because we want to focus on local issues and not allow distant conflicts to bring us down the drain. Every dollar of every gallon of gas counts during these troubling times. And the last point I wanted to make is about refusing to allow the outside world to consume our sovereignty. Lindon is a great place, and I love driving here, going to shop here, and these outside conflicts can really allow us to stop thinking about local issues and our own local freedoms. And I feel like we've all seen those things before. And the future of the city will not be a side effect of global markets if we dictate our own destiny. I feel like this is a moment where we need to remember our local communities and for the city to continue getting the results they've been getting, and talking to my local Orem officials to maybe give them those ideas, and to not let outside results take away the progress that we've been making. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Any other public comment tonight? All right, seeing none, we will move on to our council reports. And which end wants to arm wrestle to start us off here?
I will start.
Dave, thank you.
The league meetings in St. George were great and wonderful, always helpful, things that we learn and help us to become better at our jobs, and the trust that's been afforded to us by being members of the city council and mayor. Love those relationships that we are able to continue and develop, and always find ideas for good practices, and so fun to have everybody go that went. Also, hopefully this week at the cemetery, there'll be some sod going in and some trees going in. If the weather holds good and the schedule goes right, we'll maybe see that this week. So I'm keeping an eye on that, and we'll see how it goes. But I think it was supposed to start Tuesday or Wednesday this week. that's it.
Great, all right, Lincoln.
We always have so much going on with our parks and recs. Our watering will begin in our parks, but keep in mind, we are at a questionable water year, so there might be some yellowing. Please let your residents know that we're trying to conserve water, and so some of the grass might not be getting quite as much as it has in the past. Some people criticize our own parks watering, that it doesn't fit the schedules that they've indicated to the residents. Some of our parks have so much watering to do that sometimes it goes a little bit longer, but that's the reason why. There's only so much that we can physically do at a time.
Have we put smart clocks on all of our parks yet?
About 80%, about 85% now this year. The other percent, I don't think we can. They're just in little spots, in little obscure places.
Okay, I hope I represented that first paragraph well, Pete. Sports programs are going strong with baseball getting ready to start. Our T-ball coach pitch, machine pitch, and kid pitch league, say that really fast, will be at the City Center Park this year instead of Pheasant Brook Park. The next special event for the city is June 3rd, our summer kickoff. So more details coming soon on that.
CTC, Historic Commission, Tree Board are all doing great. The Arbor Day celebration was awesome, a really good time. And for the Arts Committee, just to give you all an update, several weeks ago, a handful of us met to discuss next steps, and the next step was to pull in a few residents just to get some ideas of what the Arts Committee could do or look like. And so it's still early formation discussions.
Thank you. All right, Jake.
A couple quick updates from the PD. Let me get right back to that. Our canine officer went through completed patrol dog school with Officer Harmon, and they graduated top of their class. So we're always proud of Officer Harmon and our canine officer. And then just an announcement for this group of our May 11th awards banquet for our PD. Please RSVP if you haven't already. What was that, Chief?
Let me check, it might be the 13th, hang on.
Sorry, I could have, it's Wednesday.
13th.
Led me astray, no worries.
Are you wanting an RSVP then?
No, we'll be all right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
We're coming.
Awesome. And then 2 weeks ago, I brought up sponsorships for Lindon Days. Heath and I this week secured one, we think, for the fireworks. We're excited about that. Certainly within the council's realm to be out there asking businesses to help the city. So that's all I have.
Okay, I think I reported last time about our youth council that we had 22 members now, up from 18 this year, and we started at 13 a few years ago, so it's definitely a growing and I'll call it robust, since that's the word of the day today, program. And we have a solid group of young people that are going to be helping us. On the 18th, our next council meeting, we'll be introducing the new council to this council. They're looking forward to that. And then they will be going out and planting flowers in the city cemetery in preparation for the Memorial Day program, which will be on May 25th at 9 a.m. at the city cemetery. And we're looking forward to participating in that with our youth council and with everyone else. We love that program and everybody involved. And I'd just like to make a note that really enjoyed our Utah League of Cities and Towns mid-year conference in St. George with most of you. I think almost all of us were there and really enjoyed that time of learning and camaraderie.
Thank you so much. You all do so great with your liaison assignments and reports. We had Next Gen Motors did their ribbon cutting. Thank you for those that were able to come. I know it was on a busy night, but they're doing fantastic and doing great sales already. Something community-wide of note is the Lindon City Temple dedication this Sunday that incorporated residents in part of PG, Pleasant Grove, as well as Orem. So that was a pretty significant event. Thank you again to Chief and all the staff. That was a lot of service and coordination and a lot of hard work to just pull off having nearly 300,000 visitors come for that. We also had, interestingly, Pleasant Grove City had a special presentation of a photography collection that was really quite fascinating. I should have made a note of there was a gentleman 100 years ago who just bought this amazing camera, and he just had an artistic eye, and he took a lot of historical photos, and I went because I wanted to see what did he catch about Lindon, and there was potentially, and our historian Brett Swalberg was there, so I was like, okay, we're good. Brett's on it. So anyways, pretty interesting collection the family had donated to BYU, and then a lady just out of her own passion went and just is going to digitize the whole thing and published a book about it. And so it's really fascinating to see our community's images that don't exist in many buildings anymore, and just what life was like back in the day. So looking forward, and our museum just continues to have incredible displays and donations that our historic committee is working on, so lots of thanks to them. There's also a Lindon Yard of the Summer nomination process that's going to be happening. So we'd love to encourage just people wanting to beautify their properties and their homes and get some recognition going for that. So there's a wonderful newsletter that comes out every month. It doesn't mail to each home. Can people still pick up a hard copy here at the City Center if they want a hard copy, or you can opt in to get it by email. So that just has we just have constant amazing activities and initiatives that are going on and education for the community. So encourage them to do that. All right, we will now turn the time over to our administrator's report.
Thanks for being good sports on Star Wars Day, May 4th here. So,
we need
guys
your
saw
picture.
Eagle Mountain posted a picture very similar to this with their council, but you guys do it much better. So,
Who wore it best?
You're better at AI.
yeah, all AI. So we're continuing on here and making sure we all get equally embarrassed. So just an FYI, we've got our live streaming fixed on these meetings. So this meeting's back on YouTube. We missed about a month and a half there, but that got fixed today. So it looks like it's working again for us. So on the sewer treatment fee update, we met with Orem and their staff. And, you know, we had that discussion, partner versus customer. I very much felt that they were partners in this meeting. It was refreshing, and I think they've made an effort to try to make sure that we feel that way. Even so much that things such as, hey, if we have a large amount of money that we'll be needing to pay back where they're using cash that they've saved, and they're willing to just match it's the Public Treasurer's Investment Fund, PTIF, where we're able to put money into a state fund that earns an interest rate. It's actually what the state dictates. All of our general fund, our savings and everything is in this PTIF fund. And they even went so far as to say, we'll just charge that. So they aren't trying to mark up an interest rate to be repaid, which was, again, very refreshing. So some positive moves there. We'll keep you informed as Noah's looking at some options to try to lessen the burden on residential fee increases and see how we can make sure that all different uses and different zoning in the city are equally treated as far as the sewer processing and treatment that we have to perform. So May newsletter, we've got you down there, Steve, and then June is Heath. So thanks. And then just some dates there for Memorial Day and a meeting coming up in June. And then we mentioned this Wednesday, May 13th meeting with Chief Brower and his department. So any questions on any of that? If not, that's all I have, Mayor. Thanks.
Thank you. Right, item number 6 is the approval of the minutes from our council meeting dated April 20th, 2026. So if you've had a moment.
I've reviewed them, and if the council doesn't have any changes, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the city council minutes from April 20th, 2026.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Jacobs. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved, thank you.
Just really quick, before you move on, just an FYI, just wanted to make you aware that we do use some AI software to help produce the minutes. Brittany has fully embraced that and has greatly increased efficiency. But just an FYI that that helps produce a large amount of what we do now. So I'm trying to embrace that new technology to be more efficient. So.
Closed sessions as well? Okay. Smart.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
There are no consent agenda items this time, so we'll move on to item number 8. And this is a review and action of a general plan amendment. And this was continued from March 2nd. And we'll go ahead and have our Economic Development Director here, Michael Florence, present and get us up to speed.
Mayor, I'm going to step out.
Okay.
Excuse myself.
All right. Councilmember Hoyt is recusing himself.
Just as a reminder from the last meeting in March, the proposal from MS Properties was to amend the Street Master's Plan map to remove both of these streets, 1200 West in this section and 200 North, highlighted in green there. At the last meeting, one of the representatives for Schaefer Industries was not able to make it. He asked that the meeting be continued, and so the council continued that meeting, and to give the property owners, the three main property owners, MS Properties, Pacific Bridge and Steel, and Schaefer Industries, time to talk and review the proposal. In your packet, one of the items we discussed last time as well was, could the property have a cul-de-sac coming from Center Street North? These are the two UDOT detention basins that they receive water that Lindon helps maintain in those stormwater basins. But this is what the cul-de-sac could potentially look like as an option, as an alternative as well. So. As of late today, the property owners had also reached out to me with the potential of maybe just having the discussion about removing this section from the map, transportation map, highlighted in green, and leaving the rest of the map the way it is. I know the property owners can discuss this. There's some, preferences and things. For 200 North here, Martin Snow would prefer not to have this bisect his two properties here. And so that this may need an alternative route, but, so there's been some different discussions, whether to do a cul-de-sac, whether to remove both roads segments, whether just to remove a portion of 1200 West. And so the council's got a number of items to consider with this. We've prepared it as the application was originally submitted, with both roads being removed. But I think there's a number of alternatives you should evaluate. So.
Right. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Florence?
So on that last image that you had up, so there will be a way to connect to Center Street, and it's through that Anderson Lane down where it
Yes.
kind of.
I apologize, I cut that off.
That's okay, but I'd wondered, I couldn't see, but there would be another way, not just 1200 West.
Yes, Anderson
Through
Lane.
Geneva and Anderson Lane.
Yeah, let's go to this one. So yeah,
That curve right
Anderson
there.
Lane will be constructed. I think Schaefer Industries will be constructing that this summer.
Okay, great.
All right, any further questions? All right.
Can we just go to the view you were showing before?
This one here?
The small section, right? There at the end, is that a cul-de-sac? We're talking about just
At
removing.
the bottom of the green?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs necessarily a cul-de-sac there because it's not a road, it's still private
This is,
property.
this is just general plan, so we could remove that section, and the rest of the general plan would just stay the same. Is that
Yes,
right?
That would. Now,
That's one of the options.
Now, again, a lot of this depends on property owners working together, whether or not the roads will go in at all.
Sure.
You know, for example, this road 200 North it's on the property boundary between MS Properties and Schaefer Industries. The remaining of this north-south road on 1200 West, that's split between UDOT, Schaefer Industries, and Pacific Bridge and Still. And so all of them would have to work together for those roads to go through. We're not adjusting any zoning with this application. The heavy industrial zoning or whatever zoning is currently in place is not affected by these applications. This is only whether to amend the street master plan map.
All right, okay, I think that covers it. So we have applicants in the room. I don't know if we need to cover the letter that you have from some of the parties or that came in recently, or?
There was a letter for the last one. Is that in March? Is that? I don't know.
Today.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to cover that, Mike. That was.
Oh. Yeah, I think this one in green explains that.
All right, there were some other, okay, and then you mentioned, okay, that leg around there.
Yeah.
So, yes, let's, the applicant, will have him come forward, Mr. Snow. So he's the one that originally applied for the removal of all these roads, and obviously we want to understand the perspectives of all the property owners that are impacted by this application. All right.
All right, well, I think there's a few new people here today than there was a couple weeks ago. So basically, if we go to 1400, where it goes past Ivory, if you guys can follow me on that map, or, where Mike's got his pointer going. We have, between MS Properties and the city, we have a little property dispute there, and when we were working to resolve, that was very nice of you. If I can figure out how to use that.
Just don't point it in your eyes.
Let's see, it's on the green setting.
Oh, I gotta hold it down, yeah, all right. So this section of road right through here is where we've been working for a year and a half, 2 years, maybe more, with the city people over a little property dispute here. And it came up in the meeting that if we would, to settle this, we were gonna take this proposed road, remove it off the master plan, take the bond money that we have here, and then we're gonna go develop it and finish this road through here and give the property to the city for the right-of-way and the needs to get that road in place. And then I think this summer, Schaefer or Shadow Mountain is supposed to be developing this road through here. And I think they only go up to here. So that, and we'll go to this intersection right there. There'll be a little piece here that we call the group home property that still needs to be figured out to get past it, but basically that's gonna open up that 1400 or Anderson Lane. I think we call it 1400, the old map was 14. But then it's gonna allow access to come from Center Street up through here, and now you can work your way out this way or you can go out that way. So I think in the discussions with the city, they said, well, we don't really need this road through here, and it's a definite safety hazard going between our buildings. And then in the other point came up was a safety factor, a hazard going through here because of all the Utah Pacific's big steel ridge beams and girders and overhead cranes. And so you guys went through that last time. So I think when we left off at the last meeting, we were discussing a cul-de-sac up in here to come here. Shadow Mountain has concerns because they have 27 acres over here that they haven't really decided what they're gonna do in there yet. The city, I think what Adam and Mike Florence are saying is, we can put these roads back in, we can move these roads. One of my thoughts I brought up last time was maybe this road should be straight, it comes off of here, you know, maybe it could, there's a lot of options, but I think the property owners need to decide where they want the roads through there because they're serving their development, whereas we're already developed and we know the road doesn't work, and Utah Pacific is pretty much developed in here, and that's just kind of where we let off, or at the last meeting. So I think the decision was let everybody voice their opinions, and we'll see what happens. This road here doesn't really, it's kind of an issue here because it goes through my property there, and then it splits right through Utah Pacific and gives them, it basically gives them two little parcels right here, and this one bisects Utah Pacific again. So that's, and I don't see the use changing in the future for either us or Utah Pacific, and because we're both established and been there 40 plus years, so I don't think anything's going to change for that. And I guess that's the reason for the proposal, and that's how it's sitting.
So I'm a little bit unclear. Mr. Snow, are you wanting, as you applied, is that what you want the council to still consider, or have you changed your mind somewhat?
I think the city, I proposed what was suggested by the city, because it was the most practical idea was to take it all out, because I think the city said, well, we're never gonna be able to put that road through here, and it doesn't look like it's gonna be a benefit down here for the existing use. So that was my application, and then there were, you know, the city's opinion at that time was we can put these roads in wherever we need to when this development comes up. So, I mean, for my personal benefit, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I need to get the road out on the top, and that was my agreement with the city was you get rid of this, I'll settle with you over there, you know, so.
Right.
And then I believe that's probably your legal or Mr. Hawes, but I think he made the comment in the last meeting that it's up to the council, or that the council has the authority to approve all of it, part of it, or
Right.
or some alternates. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave it at that, and I'll let the rest of them give you their opinion of what they need, and
All right.
we'll hope we get a good decision from everybody.
Right. So as Mr. Florence mentioned, this has completely unrelated to zoning and uses that are allowed here. This is just, and maybe you could speak to everyone in the room a little bit about when we have a street master plan, it's kind of calling out future places to have that connectivity and the proper flow, and not strand any property owners, for example, if they need it. But at the same time, these lines that are future roads are somewhat flexible because, as you mentioned, the individual property owners, certainly a 27-acre piece may need a particular configuration when the time comes that they have actual development, or whatever may happen if what you do with your business expands or has additional buildings or uses. So maybe you could speak to just the roads themselves and permanence or not permanence, and what they're calling out.
Yeah, I mean, if this green road, if it needed to shift slightly, like it came to here and needed to come down. I mean, the purpose is that the road goes through according to the master plan. If it had to make some minor tweaks, that's okay in the future. But you're correct. It's a plan for the future for circulation and trying to help all the property owners and not segment anything that won't be unbuildable.
And I think it's important too, Mayor, to realize that these maps were originally adopted, if I'm remembering right, this was originally adopted in either 69 or 89. And we last time we had our engineers here, they're not here tonight, but our engineers had gone through and looked at traffic, and with traffic and development that has changed, these roads don't necessarily need to be exactly in this spot. There's a lot of room for us to be able to work. So our engineers have looked at this, and they feel comfortable with these changes as well.
Okay.
So that's important.
Are you saying in removing both of those, the blue and the green? They're comfortable with
The
that?
engineers were okay with that because, again, when those developments come in, they are going to have roads, and they can configure that. But because of the heavy industry that's going through that main road going north and south, we're not going to have a lot of traffic flowing through there.
Right.
And so there will have to be some configurations for the green line. And as a development comes in, we'll have an opportunity to get an alignment that works best.
Okay, so you're saying if we eliminated now the blue and the green, later on, somebody would come and say, hey, we want to develop this in this way, we'd like a road cut in here, and then we're addressing that as the issue.
That's why our engineers felt fine taking them all off.
Although my question would be is if a road is eliminated and let's say one property says, I want that road, but their neighbor says, I don't want the road, and if the road is not on the master plan, does that create?
How that works right now is both property owners still have a right to say, I don't want that road there right now. But what can happen is one property owner can say, well, that's fine, I'll put the whole cost of the road in now, but I'll ask for what's called a reimbursement agreement, that if the other property develops within a certain amount of time, typically those are a 10-year period, if you develop within 10 years, and you get the benefit of that road for that developing, you have to reimburse that first property owner for that. And so that would go, that ability to do a road and to get the council to do a reimbursement agreement, that works when two properties abut each other. And so if we move this road off, we probably wouldn't be able to do a reimbursement agreement or, in that circumstance. So that is one thing that probably changes, Mayor.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do have a representative from Bridge, Pacific Bridge and Schaefer Industries as well. It's a little bit complex on the possibilities here, and I think it's important to understand the perspective of the other property owners that are potentially impacted here. I'd like to invite you to come forward. And maybe.
So some of you weren't here 2 months ago. I'm Clark Olson with Utah Pacific Bridge, one of the founders and president. The way we left it 2 months ago was because of safety issues. I'm very similar to Martin Snow. You know, we've got 200-foot girders, 150 tons sitting there with 5 150-ton mobile cranes passing back and forth with that property line. So it's a safety issue. I just don't want a road there. However,
road there, let's be specific, that would be
the north-south.
in the blue.
Well, really neither one. Number one, the north-south, because it adjoins our property, and the east-west, the green road, would collect from that subdivision area cars to go from there to the east and then south on 200 north. So that, that's our concern, is just generating traffic there. Now, 2 months ago, Schaefer Industries couldn't be here, but they did propose a letter, a cul-de-sac, that was presented at least. And Clark Taylor with Schaefer called me shortly after, wanted to meet. I've been gone for about a month, but anyway, we did meet last Wednesday. And Mr. Taylor presented that same shortened cul-de-sac running north-south from Center Street, of which I could do. I mean, I don't want a road at all, but I told him that we would agree to that. It's shortened. It doesn't get north so far as to bisect, you know, my two pieces to the north. And also, more importantly, it doesn't have an east-west road, 1200 west or 200 north road to collect traffic. So I thought we were good. But Clark called me at noon today and said they don't want to do that. They want all the roads. I don't know why, because he's the one that proposed it in the first place. But so that's where I am. So to summarize, I would do the originally proposed as of 2 months ago cul-de-sac, shortened cul-de-sac, but
Okay.
Schaefer doesn't want to. At least he didn't 4
Well, we'll
hours
give him an
ago.
opportunity to
Okay, great.
share. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
so that's where we're at.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Olson?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Mr. Taylor. Is this an exhibit that we need to share with the council? All right, thank you. Please state your full name for the record.
My name is Clark Taylor, and I'm Executive Vice President, General Counsel for Schaefer and its affiliate, Shadow Mountain. And I appreciate you continuing this to today. I had a family medical emergency, and I appreciate the opportunity to appear and get to present our position. And I should state greetings to the mayor, the council members, Madam Reporter, and the city planner and attorney, and the administrator. I've worked with the city for many years. I remember going back through the old building, the little building we've had. We've worked together. We've really tried to be good corporate citizens. Schaefer Industries manufactures structural pipe and tube. So structural pipe and tube, basically, there are two things that hold up America. One is concrete and two is steel. And we're a leading manufacturer in the western United States, with our geographic area being from, we do have some clients back east, our customers, but generally from Colorado to Hawaii and generally border to border. But in the western United States, we're a leading manufacturer. For example, if we were to pull this drywall down, you'd see our steel here. It holds up billboards, it holds up gates, fences, bollards. If you just walk outside, you could name 30 uses of our steel just from your front porch here. And we have 27 acres there with 4 large facilities. I think some of you are familiar, and if not, drop by anytime, I'll give you a tour. In addition, and we came in 1988, and we started our campus, the 27 acres that just is off the screen there. And then the northern 27 acres is depicted on the map, and I've highlighted that in blue in the first handout.
And that currently is undeveloped land.
That's undeveloped land. I will note that a couple of years ago, the city, and we've really tried to be good corporate citizens, and I want to commend the city staff. We've worked well together for decades.
Thank you.
So we've worked tremendously together, and the city wanted to see the fill on the south part of the 27 acres. We had that in Greenbelt, and the city came to us and said, we need to dispose of our dirt, and like we always get along, so we said, no problem. None of us anticipated that the county wasn't gonna cooperate. And so now we got a almost $350,000 bill from the county because they've changed the zoning, and that will be a huge bill that will go on into the future. But the property, other than the accommodating the city, is undeveloped. Except for on the west corridor, Mr. Florence, could you?
Highlighters right there if you need it.
Oh, I don't know if I'm steady enough to do that, but maybe will be. When Ivory Homes went in, the city needed to connect here so that they could have the water, sewer, both pressure and normal flow, so 4 lines in through there. And the ultimate resolution was we let the lines go in, and the city engineered the road, and we anticipate, we've already had our pre-construction meeting building that this summer. And of course, this is a road that is a residential road on the master plan. You've seen the master plan. So it's undeveloped. However, we have relied on the master plan for years. So if you go to the handout, skip the second page and go to the third page. I've tracked it back. Council said it goes back further, but I've tracked back as far as I can. This is 1995, a master plan, to 2000. And you can see that the 1200 West is on there. And then you can see the next one is 2000 to 2005. There we have the east-west 1200 on there as well. And the next is 2006. You'll see both roads are on there. And then we see the same in 2011, and that brings us to 2013. So Schaefer Industries, Shadow Mountain, we've relied on the master plan for decades, literally decades, with respect to the development. Now, we recognize that the city came in and put Ivory Homes in, which may impact us with respect to development plans, but that's for something down the road. One thing I want you to note while you're looking at if you go to the first page of the handout, and I'm gonna use Schaefer for short for the full designation. We are the landowners that are most impacted by this. And I did a real rough calculation off of Google Earth. We have some 1,400 feet approximately at issue. Mr. Snow has roughly 950, and Mr. Olson about 750. But again, you have to understand, we have been relying on these, and to adopt the proposal as made landlocks our property from the current zoning and from the master plan, which is light industrial. It landlocks us completely, because people say, well, you've got the road on that you're putting in, and then it continues up the east side of Ivory. That's a residential road. That is not gonna handle the traffic. It's not gonna, if we put a distribution center in there, it's not gonna handle the traffic. If we go with heavy industrial, it won't handle the traffic. Virtually, you're gonna landlock the property that we've relied on for decades. And so I thought, well, there must be some big public interest at issue for this issue to bubble up to the surface at this point in time. So I thought, well, let me refresh my memory on master plans. So I went to the statute, and I thought, well, let's start with our state law. And our state law requires a master plan. And under state law, the master plan has to have 2 items. It must address the future and present needs of the municipality. And I would suggest that means the public at large, not a single property owner. And it has to address the growth and development of any or part of the land within the city, within the municipality. So that's state law, and the focus is on future. So then I thought, well, let's see what the state has said. How do we teach the cities this? So I went to the general planning guide that the state puts out, and it says on its face in the introduction, this guide will help you understand the role that the general plan should play in your community. And let me tell you, in that first few pages, it says planning, and we're talking about planning, also allows stakeholders, Schaefer for decades, to know what to expect from your city. What are we going to expect? We're going to expect that we can develop that property. In 1988, we could literally see from here to the point of the mountain before all the growth came in. The general plan outlines your city's vision, we're talking about vision, for the future, and describes how that vision will be achieved. Residents, developers, business, state government, and other interested parties should be able to see how your city will change by reviewing the general plan. So the general plan is very, very important, and that gets to the heart of your question. It really matters if we're on the general plan. It does. And in fact, if the proposal is adopted as is, it will have a draconian effect on our property, including the value. And landlocking is not fun. Well, I went on to the next step, trying to track this through. What does the state say about drafting? Not only the policy, but what does it say about drafting? And it says the same thing. General plans, also called master plans or comprehensive plans, guide, we're talking about the future, your community in its decision-making by describing its current and future needs, and then it goes on. But that's how, this is what we're supposed to follow when drafting these. So then I thought, well, what did we draft? So I looked at our master plan, and our master plan says right in the beginning, what is a general plan? The general plan serves as an advisory document that helps guide the future growth. We're talking about the future growth. We're not talking about landlocking people who've relied for decades, who are the most impacted owners, and land use decisions. It indicates the location and type of land uses, and it goes on. Skipping down, the general plan not only helps guide future development, and it goes on after that. So that's what we've addressed. And so again, I'm thinking there must be some big public interest that's come up for this about face of this issue that's been resolved for decades. And, I started digging into it, and let me tell you what I found. I found out, and I'm going to tip my hand up front because I'm going to bore you a little bit, but I'm going to tell you what this is all about is to resolve private litigation with the contract. That's not what master planning is for. It's not to resolve litigation. That's nowhere in the statute. It's nowhere in the guide. It's nowhere in the discussion about how we draft these. It's nowhere in our master plan resolving private disputes. Because Ivory and the city have an issue with Mr. Martin, and we love Mr. Martin and respect him, that shouldn't dictate what we've relied on for years. Litigation resolution is not an appropriate consideration for planning.
So, Mr. Taylor, thank you. Just in the interest of time, I think we hear you, and so I have some general questions. I think in this instance, everything that you stated there in those documents is true. They are advisory, they are vision, and it is, this body has had numerous times where, like we said, this vision, this advisory flow has been created many, sometimes decades ago. We do revisit with the realities of today of how maybe things have changed and the direction development has gone. it is appropriate for bodies to sometimes review the practicality of those road plans, and we do make adjustments and tweaks, and that's, again, we want to make a good decision that is practical and balances the interests of everyone that's impacted, and also what's really happening with the growth. Because like you said, when you were there and you could see the point of the mountain, we didn't know what was coming. But so sometimes change, we can tweak things, and that's appropriate legally. So my question for you is, obviously do you imagine with this 27 acres, do you have a plan of what you plan to do with that? Are you going to sell it? Are you going to, do you have imminent, you said you were kind of relying on these roads as you'd seen them for this amount of time. Do you anticipate you are going to determine what comes here, or are you going to sell the property and have another entity come and say, you know what, actually we want maybe the circulation to be different? I mean, I'm sure you would want that flexibility within your 27 acres as well. But when you say you've relied on it, do you have a plan currently in mind of what's happening there?
I'll answer the question by saying very short, no. However, we had a plan and we bought the property for an expansion site.
Okay.
That's why we bought it, and that's why we've held on to it. It's in heavy industrial. However, the city came in, however many, handful of years ago, and put a residential area right next to us. And that's caused us to rethink things. But let me tell you, with respect to the affected roads, with respect to Mr. Olson, nothing's changed there. And eliminating these roads, I mean, he's been swinging these beams. And by the way, if he's swinging these beams and it's dangerous, he shouldn't be allowed to do it in the public road. That should be barred. And also, Mr. Martin's use hasn't changed. There's been no change in our area other than the city zoning residential, which is on the other side. And so, no, we don't have a current plan. We're gonna have a plan, but we don't want to be frozen out by a change in a master plan that we've relied on for decades.
But you might want flexibility to potentially determine how things are developed out as well, I would imagine. You're not saying do these roads and never change them.
We are not saying that, and in fact, we considered the cul-de-sac. But we want to be good neighbors, and I've done
We appreciate that.
I've done my level best to get this resolved. Unfortunately, and I think the opposing sides were all friends, and I think they will recognize I've been the one running around trying to get this resolved. And we hoped a cul-de-sac would work, but it doesn't work because of the city ordinances. We studied it, the city engineers drafted a couple of proposals, but it doesn't get us far enough into our property so that we can do something. So we don't want to be disadvantaged by having these roads stripped off of our property. Developers won't want it. They're going to say, what's the city going to do? So we need certainty. We need to have the roads there. And there is a quotation I have down here from, I think, the planning department, where they say, the reason we're doing this is so that the roads can be developed in accordance, or put in accordance with the development. That is completely backwards planning. You don't do it that way. It flies in the face of what we've done. And that is under the purpose section of the planning report. I wish I could put my hands right on it, because it says right on its face. Let me see if I can turn to it.
So you did at one point think the cul-de-sac might be an option that.
We did.
And what specifically, so now you're concerned it doesn't go
It won't
forward?
work. It won't work. We've looked at
Okay.
a couple of auctions. I've looked at the code. Everybody can back me up. It just won't work. If you look at it, it just tips into it won't work. If we could take that and extend it a couple of 100 feet, well, maybe that would work. But the problem is where it sits. So far, we can't do what we need to do. I mean, it would be another problem with access.
Okay, so actually, maybe cul-de-sac is still on the table if it just had if you said a few 100 feet further into your adjoining properties?
It is an option. It's not a desirable option and not by far what we want. But trying to be good neighbors, we tried to brainstorm. We've looked at every possible angle. every possible angle. And I want to read you that quote. The purpose of the request is to allow street alignments to be determined at the time property is developed. That is backwards planning. You put the roads in, it's the future, it's the vision on the master plan so that people know what's coming. So we've really, really tried to resolve this. Now, all of that said, I have to tell you, somebody's gonna be unhappy with the result tonight. What we are, if you go to the second handout, we are okay as an alternative to deleting the road, you can see it on there, that is between Mr. Snow's buildings from the master plan. He gets his bond, the city gets the money to rectify the litigation over at Ivy, which is what this is all about, which is improper legally. We're okay with it as long as we get to keep what we've had on the master plan for decades, so we're not landlocked. Again, we can't access it for what the current or proposed use is from the west, but we've got to access it from the east.
So if I understand clearly, it sounds like all three-party business owners are in agreement that area that you have crossed out, that's not an issue for any of the parties for that.
It's not an issue for us, and we support that.
Okay, well, we're on the same page with that one issue. That's good news. I would like to allow my counsel to maybe ask questions as well on what is in front of us here to any of the parties.
So, apologize, last time I was in the cloud, but I was here, right? And I was the one that was kind of leaning towards continuing it to make sure we could get everybody's needs addressed. I'm a huge advocate of the general plan. It's important for cities to plan. The city council, yes, we need to deal with what's going on today, but we've got to look 50 and 100 years, and all of us are gone, and your property belongs to someone else, even your business that's there, your businesses that are there. So what I'd like to see is something that works today, for you today, but still helps in this future. And this is not swayed by what Mr. Taylor has said, although it aligns a lot with what he has said. That's been, I want to protect master plans as much as possible. So I think it's great to remove that one slide that Mike showed with the green road. I'm completely in favor in facilitating some of the needs that provides.
The entire green road?
No,
The segment.
Yes.
On
this
snow
one right here.
properties.
So I think that makes everyone's happy. I think the mayor just pointed that out. I think that works for everyone. The other roads that are there on the general plan, they're there, but you keep doing your stuff, right? You keep running your business, Mr. Snow, we can meet those needs. I'm one that would be happy to make a motion for that. I don't need to make it right now because I don't want to cut Steve off for others.
Yeah, I just want some clarification too, kind of going beyond where you are, because I was going to mention that, but with the two roads that are in place beyond just the one that you're talking about eliminating, in the future, if those were to be developed, that would be some agreement between two property owners that, and what does that look like, and what's that process?
So typically, you'd have a subdivision plat dedicating right-of-way, and so they will have to sign a subdivision plat, or one property owner would need to buy right-of-way width from them, so a couple different options. But
So even if those stayed on the plan, it still requires all the parties to be involved in how that will end up being developed, correct? So everybody still has a voice in what happens.
yes.
Okay.
If I may, there's one additional option, is condemnation. For example, when Ivory put in its development, we had no interest in utilities going across our property. And so what did the city say? Cooperate or we're going to condemn it. And if you read our development agreement, it says right on its face, we are entering this agreement under the threat of condemnation. So if the city wants to do something which it should, for the betterment of the city, the future of the city, and the landowners can't work it out, there's always condemnation.
And I do just need to clarify, and Clark is right, it says that, and Clark knows that we added that on there for tax purposes to help him. Now, there is a right of private condemnation that was raised by Ivory, but the city was never going to condemn your property. You remember that, right, Clark?
It's not my memory.
Okay.
There were utility benefits as well that were put in there that will help benefit.
But he's right, condemnation is an option, that's right.
So again, I don't want to close anyone off. I want to protect the general plan as a general plan. It's just, it's there. It's a guideline. It doesn't, no roads going in today. We're not forcing anything. We're not, it would stay on the general plan. Everybody continue doing their business the way they're doing their business. We would just remove that section. I'm prepared to make that motion this time. But keep talking, others that are interested in asking questions.
May I?
Yes, go ahead.
The thing that's changed in the last 10 years is now we have a residential subdivision to the west that really surrounds now heavy industrial. And again, our concern is the traffic that residential development could generate going from west to east and then going south and up, and of course then east on Center Street. And Clark Taylor says we shouldn't be swinging over roads, girders. We don't. My concern is these are so unusual. They're so large. Some of the largest girders made in the western United States or the United States, period. I'm concerned about just traffic stopping and watching, because they will. We're also painting there. We're allowed to paint. I'm concerned about that.
That's if that road goes in from west to east or east to west,
And
right?
it is important, yeah, I think it's important to note, yeah.
That's the road that will generate the traffic. Now, the cul-de-sac would not generate the traffic. If Schaefer wanted to come west to east and terminate in a cul-de-sac on his property to gain access, I wouldn't be opposed to that either. But I am opposed to a full east-west, north-south corridor generating traffic right in the middle of heavy industrial.
But we're not deciding today to put a road in. We're just saying, leave it there for 50 years or 100 years down the road.
Let's decide not to put a road in, because the general plan should be changed, because the conditions have changed.
But it could change.
They've changed because Martin has built on both sides of that road. I could build heavy industrial on both sides of that road on the north, my north end that adjoins Martin Snow's, those two pieces. We talk about being landlocked. If that goes in, I've isolated two pieces that I can't do anything with. They're very small. I can't do anything.
But again, we're not.
We talk about, keeping the general plan, but if the general plan, because of the current conditions, are different today than they were in 1990, change it.
So if someone were proposing, let's put a road in today, then you've got good arguments, and I would say, no, I don't think this is the right thing to do. The vote today is a general plan looking 50 to 100 years down the road. I'm fine with leaving it there. I think it's good to leave it there. We're not putting anything in today. Definitely not.
I agree with that, but that states that is the possibility, the city sees as that is the future. And the fact that now we have residential, what if Schaefer wants to sell that as residential? What if he wants to sell it as commercial or office space? That's, all of those are gonna generate traffic, and none of those are good neighbors to heavy industrial. None of them. And so if Schaefer wants an east-west access, have him put it in. It doesn't need to go all the way to the east of my property. It doesn't need to connect onto Center Street. If we put that cul-de-sac in, which Schaefer recommended, and we could have passed this, if I would have agreed to it, it would have been changed 2 months ago. Because Schaefer requested the cul-de-sac.
Right.
But I didn't want anything.
Right.
And so, that, you know, there we are. I mean, I don't know why, if it just won't work now, why, I mean, it worked 2 months ago, but now it won't? Because that was the solution.
Right.
But I didn't want anything, and it was new to me. Well, you know, because I don't want new, additional traffic generated, that cul-de-sac accomplishes that. It accomplishes it for Martin. Martin doesn't want that east-west corridor road running against his southern property either.
So quick question, so Mr. Taylor said cul-de-sac is not his first choice, but in another alternate, if there was a cul-de-sac, if there is a cul-de-sac, he needs it to go a little bit deeper to the north.
In our ordinance, our subdivision ordinance says you can't have a cul-de-sac deeper than 100 or 650 feet. So that's measured from the intersection of the street to the middle of the cul-de-sac. And so that's why, you know, we did that diagram and it shows, you know, where it hits on the property.
And that's been something that we, go ahead.
Excuse me, is that the 650 feet you're talking about?
Yes.
In other words, did we take it as far north as we could?
We did.
From Center Street?
Under our current regulations.
Well, that's something we've talked about reviewing, because there's some examples in the city where sometimes there's just been, things have been not developed, you know, with adjacent areas, and so maybe we need to review that. But as of today, correct, that is what it is.
Yeah, and to also clarify, the homes that back onto Anderson Lane, they do not have access to Anderson Lane.
It's
There's
a
a
big masonry
6 or
wall.
7 foot masonry wall along that street.
Mr. Taylor, or whoever, you said that Anderson Lane couldn't be used for some of the purposes that you had hoped for. Is it because the trucks are too big, or?
That's exactly right. You, as a practical matter, you don't run semis in a neighborhood.
Sure.
And so the road to say we have access for the current zoning, we're heavy industrial, even the master plan is light industrial, it doesn't work. You have semis going up and down there.
What is the road profile width that's called out for there? It's not really technically a neighborhood, because a neighborhood is completely cut off with that masonry wall. So the residents don't have access vehicularly or pedestrian or bicycle, anything. It's segmented there. But maybe we should look, what's the road profile called out?
Closer to 700 north.
Go.
As part of our development agreement with Shadow Mountain, we actually worked with them and came to an agreement on the width and the profile of that roadway as it makes that turn and heads north. And so, I would, again, we're all friends here, but I would disagree that wasn't considered, because we do have a width that was approved and agreed upon as part of our development.
Well, there's more to the story than that. We're aware of the master plan, and we're aware of current zoning and the master plan zoning. We know that a residential road won't work. So we had the option at our cost, using more than half of the road with our neighbors on our property, of expanding the road on that segment. And we made that election timely in writing. But that was our idea, because we know that road as currently drafted on the master plan won't work for the development of this property. So that's why we're landlocked. Now, you're right, can things change in the future? Maybe, but right now, it's 650 feet. I'm very concerned about the fire department not allowing that, even if the city council and the planning commission would allow it. So there are a lot of ifs, and so what we need to, in my judgment, is stick to what the policy is, plan for the future like we've been relying for 30 years. And the proposal that Mr. Jacobs has made, not formally, lets matters go forward now and tables matters for the future when we address them. Everybody, you guys can all move forward with your deal.
So if Anderson Lane, you feel is not wide enough, and then your segment that connects to Anderson Lane has that same profile adoption, which was skinnying up the road a little bit, would you ever want to expand it, that profile, for your industrial portion down there of Anderson Lane?
We are. We're gonna build for what we're
What you
currently
need
master
there.
zoned for, or master plan for, and what we're currently zoned for. We're gonna build as though we're relying on what's there. And so we are building at our cost, using our extra land, not going right down the middle. We're paying for the extra improvements and using our land to make it wider than what the city, or than the north-south, straight north-south part of Anderson Lane. Because we think master plans should carry weight.
All right.
One more comment.
Yes.
When Ivory came in, I was just looking at the 2006 master plan. The east-west road used to connect all the way through and go out to the freeway off-ramp, at 700. And then Ivory went back, and then the city put in the road to get down to the lift station. So the east-west road used to continue right on, straight through and out, and now that part of the road isn't there anymore. So, I mean, that's why I was saying, is that in the right place for that? I would think, looking at the map, we already took part of it out, and the other issue that you were talking about, the street width, that road that went through Anderson, what I call 1400, was in the previous years, that was a 66-foot wide road. And then when Ivory came in, we developed our side to build it as a 66-foot road, then Ivory shrunk it down to a 15-foot so they could build a little closer. We run a lot of trucks through there every day, probably 10 or 15 trucks, because they come straight down Anderson Lane, they come around, go through our shipping yard. It is a lot tighter than it would be if it was 66 feet wide, but the trucks are still going through there. And
Right.
But there's not much traffic now because like
The residential
Ivory-
are cut
yeah,
off.
the residential people don't
Have an
come-
access
Yeah,
point.
they have no access, so it's really just our trucks going through, but I mean, it will get busier when it's a through street, it'll definitely get busier. And I think what Mr. Taylor is saying is when they did theirs, they planned it for the 50-foot profile road, but they added 10 or 15 feet on their side, which allows for more parking, and I think that's probably what needs to be done as a minimum. So really what happened is the road pushed into the industrial people. Ivory kind of gave us a nudge over like 15 feet, so.
I would like to point out one more matter
Sure.
if I could. This is an important decision because there aren't many 27-acre parcels left in the city. This is not an easy or a decision that we all have put a lot of time and effort into considering.
For sure.
Yes, and it is, you can't really get access from the west because you have I-15. The north access is a little bit limited as well, like you're saying. Anyway, council, any other questions?
Both sides have presented their points of view very, very well. Have we exhausted every possibility of making it work for all three? Is there something we're missing that hasn't been reviewed or proposed or thought about? Good question.
I can tell you, I have done my level best. I've met with the parties, I've met with Adam, I met with Noah, Travis. I met with
Trent.
Michael, I've done everything to exhaust every opportunity to present something that would work for everybody. And unfortunately, we are where we are.
Could you please show us again, Mr. Snow, I see 2 parcels there. Do you own one or both there below the green line?
Down in that corner, I own one, and the group home owns the other.
Okay, that's the group home there.
Yeah, so that's.
The group home, there's a boys' group home
Yeah,
there.
and so the green dashed line goes between, it splits my parcels there, and it splits Clark up on the other.
Is there any conceivable idea that there could be, eliminate this and then have this and then go across there?
That was what I brought up in the last meeting, is saying then it lines up, but.
Then we don't bisect Pacific Bridge. Don't bisect your piece here. We still have full circular access here.
But I think, I don't really want to make the decision on what's affecting Clark's property, because he's the one that needs to develop it, that's where it is.
Is that something that is untenable to you?
It is. We don't know what we're gonna put there, and it may be a large distribution center which would prevent the development. We've explored that option, is to answer your question. And I might note that, I mean, we could really drill down on this, but Mr. Snow's building was approved, and the development agreement approved on the condition that road's going through. And I think if I showed this to even an elementary 6th grader, said, where should this road go? It should go north and south. And we're not here jumping up and down saying, don't do that, but we're saying, please don't landlock us. Leave what we've relied on for decades and go ahead and accommodate Martin at this point.
All right. So you would like to keep options open for what you don't know yet is coming. And I think our attorney clearly explained, for the road to go in, there has to be, agreement on cooperation. Right now, no road is happening at this point in time. I know, council, any other?
It's been discussed just a little bit, that cul-de-sac and the 650 feet, and the idea that it could be reviewed and possibly go longer. You brought up the points of fire and those types of things. Is that even feasible, reasonably feasible?
Yeah.
Is it as simple as a legislative decision, or how many departments get involved
Well,
with?
one of the things I've talked with Mr. Florence is to review that ordinance right now in the city, because we've run across, situations with
Right.
that in the past, as you may recall, Van, and just to maybe explore, what do other cities do in that regard, and what are different situations we've come across with it.
Yeah, I mean, we would review it in conjunction with our engineering and fire departments, because you're dealing with water and sewer lines as well, and pressure, and we already have issues with dead-end cul-de-sacs and pressure and stagnant water and things, and so it'd work with, so it'd be planning, engineering, and fire would all need to evaluate those, and it is all over the board. Cities some have 650, some have 1,000 feet. It changes per city as well, so.
Yes.
Mr.
Mr.
Taylor, I really don't understand what difference it makes to you if that east-west road is on the north side of your property, the very north side or the very south side? What difference does it make? You've got to go in from one or the other. You've got the same, and if that road cut across east to west, a lot further south than what we're showing, in other words, further south than our property, my property, what difference does that make?
It limits our development of the property.
Why?
You're talking about the east-west road?
Yeah.
Green?
Yeah, just
You-
move,
you- If you drop that road south, then we can't put a large distribution center in there.
I think he's experiencing the same problem you have of getting bisected, that as was brought up by some of the other parties. It's not preferable to be bisected.
Well, I'm not saying, because we get into the ponds there, don't we? The Utah State-owned property.
Close.
Yeah, you have the two detention
The
basins
UDOT
here.
property,
Oh,
yes.
it's, the UDOT property is where the cursor is. It's right here. That's the UDOT property. You're talking about this green line, right? Up
Yeah,
here.
I was saying to move that further south, and so, Clark, what you're saying is, you can't move it south far enough, right?
We can't limit the development of our property, which we've, again, it's been through multiple master plans for decades where it is, and we think it should stay where it is as we've relied on it. We might have made different decisions along the way if, you know, the plans were gonna be changed.
Well, I don't know how big a piece is that I own north and south of that green line, as it adjoins to 1200 West. But I certainly can't use those as heavy industrial. They're just not big enough. That presents the same problem with me. I can't take my storage area to the west at all.
But if you come full circle, we're really not here because of that road. We're here because of a dispute with the city and Mr. Martin. That's why we're here. We wouldn't be here discussing that road, nor the north-south segment at all. It's the city and Lindon have a problem with respect to an encroachment that was allowed. And so the idea to do all of this didn't come from some grandiose planning. It came from Mr. Cowie in trying to resolve litigation. That's not why we do master planning. And that's been through, we've had the same plan for decades. We don't solve it based
Yeah, and I
upon
think,
a litigation.
and like we mentioned earlier, nothing is set in stone, immovable, inflexible. If there are reasonable adjustments to be made, that's why we're here to consider them, and we want to hear each of the parties, and sometimes, you know, it's complex, like you say, and so, council, this is an action item for you. So what are your thoughts on this here? We've been deliberating on it for some time, and I think we've heard all the parties' different interests and concerns.
This is an unfair question because when I got moved into our current house, I didn't look at any master plans or roads or anything. I had no clue. So maybe it sounds like you all have been considering this for a long time. And so, Mr. Snow and Mr. Olson, have your organizations, if we were to rewind the clock and there wasn't a discussion about removing it, what was your plan with the way things are now? I mean, there's some safety issues you've brought up. So, I mean, I guess nothing would trigger these roads, so maybe you didn't have to think very much about what you would do with divided land and small, but did you look at all what you might do? Or is this, you know, it's peace of mind to have a dotted line off a map, you know?
So definitely peace of mind, but when we did put those two buildings in across the road, there was a lot of discussion at that time about developing 1400 and not worrying so much about this road because 1400 was supposed to be the main artery. It's supposed to have a cul-de-sac at the one corner and go straight out. So, you know, we weren't really 100% concerned that road was ever going to go through. So that was, our hope was always, in our mind, that on paper this was the master plan, but also 1400 went straight through and went out to 700. And there's some issues down in the other part with power lines and a few things. There's a big, whatever you call it, one of those big utility so I don't.
Where's the utility?
Right in here.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to hold it.
It's hard.
The further you get away, the harder it is.
I know, yes, it's true, it's true.
So, that's our, my input on that.
All right, council.
I don't want to cut anyone off. I'm prepared to make a motion. I move to approve ordinance, and help me if I'm saying this wrong or if I'm missing something, please. I move to approve ordinance 2026-1-0 with the amendment that 1200 West be removed up to 200 North.
Is that this?
Yes.
Yes,
Is that this
and
plan?
it matches, yep, kind of. Yes, it does
That
match
is that
that,
plan.
and it also matches one that Mike showed earlier, although Mike's was a little short, and I'm saying, go ahead and remove it all the way up to 200 North.
Doing
So it
that,
matches that one.
so that
Is
extra.
this 200 north?
Yes.
All right, we have a motion.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Jacobs, seconded by Councilmember Stewart. Any further discussion on the motion? All right.
So with what you proposed, there, I'm just,
I still leave it open for a cul-de-sac. That could still happen if everybody got together and said, let's make this cul-de-sac. We have that option there. All the other options are there. We're not planning, I shouldn't say that.
yeah, it's.
No one's
there's not a
proposing
road.
to put a road in today. That's a decision down the road. This is just saying, remove that 1200 west section up to where 200 north goes. Everybody conduct business as they have in the past.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Understood what the motion entails? All right. I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, that's 3 ayes, 1 nay. The motion carries. Thank you all for coming here and being here tonight. All right, item number 9 has been, they've moved to a future date, so we will move on to item number 10, which is the recess to the Lindon City Redevelopment Agency. So we just,
Recess the Lindon City Council meeting and convene as the Lindon City RDA.
Second.
so moved by Councilman Stewart, seconded by Councilman Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are now in the RDA here on May 4th, 2026, and we'll have a roll call. I'll start here on my right.
Steve Stewart, aye.
Jake Hoyt, aye.
Marilyn Lundberg, aye.
Cole Hooley, aye.
Lincoln Jacobs, aye.
Van Broderick, aye.
All right, there are some approval of minutes from the March 16th RDA meeting. Review and adoption.
I'll make a motion that we approve the March 16th, 2026 RDA minutes.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Stewart. All in favor of passing the approval of the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. Thank you. All right, we'll go on to item number 3. This is a public hearing budget amendment, so we need to open a public hearing.
I make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Councilman Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Chase,
We've
you
got
rock that
Chase.
look.
Chase Adams or,
The hair makes the.
Yeah, sorry.
I had to AI ask him to make you have long hair, so
Oh,
that's,
yeah?
yeah.
Was this
yeah.
from like the directory photos?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
so.
No, it's-
It's got some more curl to it,
I'm
though.
getting- yeah, I'm
Looks
getting-
good.
I think I'm getting close to chopping it, so. Okay, we're mostly here to just kind of close 3 of our RDAs, the State Street District, the West Side District, and the District Number 3. That's kind of largely what the amendment does. So essentially, we're going to close out, I should say, sorry, those three, and largely by transferring the remaining funds to the Affordable Housing Fund, which is, which is kind of just a fund that we're using for like kind of accounting, transfers in and out, and like interest and stuff, so for the Affordable Housing Funds. Other than that, there's a couple of I don't know, not tons of changes to the 700 North CDA and the and sorry, I call them RDAs.
RDA, not CDA, yeah.
Over the years, I guess the acronym has changed for redevelopment area. So, but also the Lindon Park CRA.
Correct.
And there's let me just check my notes, make sure I'm not leading anyone astray here. I think the big thing I was supposed to note was that we're allocating 5% of the tax increment towards affordable housing for the 700 North RDA and for the Lindon Park RDA, or rather CRA, sorry, whatever it's called, we're allocating 10% of the tax increment towards affordable housing from that that district. And Kristen told me to note that currently in the affordable housing, we have $57,581, and we'll be moving by the end of the year. We anticipate having by the end of the fiscal year, we anticipate having $189,693 in that account. And that was essentially the notes that I have. If there's specific questions, I'll probably have to get back to you on them, but I'm happy to field what I can.
I can add a few items to that. So, like, we have two RDA areas, the 700 North RDA and the Lindon Park CRA. We've got to withhold 10% and 5% of the property tax increment for housing, so that has to be ongoing. The current state law says that after RDA expires, you've got to move that housing into, or you've got to move any remaining funds into housing. Now that changes on Wednesday, and it says on Wednesday you've got to go back and find out who all the taxing entities are, and if there's any additional funds, you have to reimburse all those taxing entities with that remaining budget. And so that kind of helped move this forward. That as we were reading the new state code last week, we said, well, let's not give all this money back. Let's move it under the current law to affordable housing, and then we'll figure out how to apply that in the future.
Good to know.
The three districts that are no longer collecting tax increment and have this leftover fund balance, just for the record, for those that are listening, let's state what those are.
Yeah, sure. The State Street District, we've used like $325,000 for to help pay for yes, a property purchase. Sorry, thank you, Mr. Florence. And so the remaining balance there would be $21,936 that we would be transferring to, in that case, the recreation fund.
And that's an eligible RDA, so that one, doesn't necessarily need to go to housing. That's
Right. Thank you. And in the west side district, there's 21,744. All of that would be going to the housing, affordable housing fund. In District 3, there's 107,477 in total revenues. Of that, 97,200 would be going to the housing fund. We're taking like a hair under 6,000, 5,995 to pay for landscaping services for the remainder of the year, and that we're transferring, sorry, to the general fund because it was kind of prepaid out of that fund. Those are the three.
All right, council, any questions? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'd like to open it for any public comment. All right, seeing none,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Be interesting to see with our new school district, if there's opportunities with them down the road. They seem so much more friendly and amenable now. But I almost see them going away from participating. I guess I'm not close enough to it. Have we seen since Orem's University Place any participation from a school district? Yeah. Okay. Just a thought. I mean, I thought the meeting went really well today. I think there's just a lot of synergy there, a lot of friendship between the groups. Maybe down the road.
This is the budget item. Okay.
Okay, with the public hearing closed, is there any other comments, any other concerns? I'd be glad to make a motion. I move to approve Resolution 2026-2-RDA.
Second. Oops, second.
As presented, yes.
Sorry, we have Councilman Hoyt, motion. Who was the second? Broderick. All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So
Thanks,
that's a
Chase.
budget amendment. So now we'll move on to item number 4 of the RDA agenda, and that is to now have a review and action to dissolve these expired RDAs that were presented.
So these RDAs, they were created in the 80s, between 82 and 89. We haven't collected any, increment taxes off those since, between 2009 and 2019. They've all been successful. They've met their purpose, especially where Home Depot and Murdoch Conde, I mean, that has created some of our top sales tax producers, so those are great to set up. The west side was set up to basically help where Schaefer Industries is and those industrial properties to help improve our industrial sector. And the State Street sounded like there was some issues of blight they were dealing with in the 80s, and I think State Street looks a lot better in those areas that were redeveloped. So, but they've outlived their time, and it's now, we're bringing forward a process to dissolve those 3 areas. We've created the processes. We have to approve those by the dissolution by resolution, and then the city council has to approve it by an ordinance.
When you say they're expired, what does that mean? When they were first created, they were created for a certain period of time?
Typically, yeah, like the 700 North RDA, it was only created to last till 2037. And then during COVID, state law allowed us to expand it, give an additional 2 years. So it'll expire in 2039. So yeah, they all have a project area plan and budget that expires typically 20 to 25 years.
Those time limits were imposed by the state.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in order to, they expire when they expire by date. But in order to close them, all the debts and everything has to be paid off. And then once that's done, you closing?
Just approved was
Moving
cashing
the
it all
left.
out. And so we
Right.
had, even though the time had expired on these 3 RDAs, we still had some remaining money in there that we were using for some things. And so you've just approved, they're all now a zero balance.
Am I remembering correctly that we used some funds with the Kia dealership? Did we do it with Hyundai as well, or was it just Kia?
I think we did.
Hyundai, it
Lot over the
could
water
have used
issue.
RDA funds, but we did have an incentive package with Hyundai, and we exchanged some property we used to have where part of their parking lot is currently, it used to be just an open detention basin, and so we transferred that property to them and allowed them to bury that detention system. And so they have a subsurface detention basin under their parking lot. So we traded some land as part of the incentive to get them here.
But not necessarily
And that
RDA.
was, I don't believe there was any direct RDA reimbursement, but they did have a sales tax post-performance plan,
Right.
similar to what Kia's doing. So if they hit certain benchmarks, we would pay them back a certain amount.
And Kia's knocking it out of the park. That was set up as a 5-year RDA, and we're gonna be closing that out in 3.5, or within
The
like
sales
another
tax
year and a
generation's
half.
been
Yeah.
ahead of
So,
schedule.
yes, 3.5 years instead of 5.
And the Kia plan is that own property, and that is the only property, so it's just their land. And that was the CRA under the umbrella of the RDA, okay? So,
Which has nothing to do with the PTA.
does not, but you have some PTA stuff in front of you here tonight. so.
Funnily enough.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, they came out, every few years, like this last legislative session, they changed it again. You know, and 10 years ago, they created EDAs, CDAs, and CRAs, and, you know, it was,
That's
so,
crazy.
yeah.
Well, needless to say, great decision-making by our forefathers here in the city. It has been great. You know what I mean? They served their purpose, and here we are, and, you know, would be remiss not to recognize those who put them into place back in the 80s. So I'm ready to make a motion. I move to approve Resolution 2026-3-RDA, also 2026-4-RDA, and 2026-5-RDA as presented.
Second.
You have a motion by Councilman Hoyt, seconded by Councilman Jacobs. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that is unanimous.
Easier to approve this when you look at the figures of Mike and Brian there. It just gives you confidence.
All right, I take a motion to adjourn and reconvene.
I like that we blew up the RDAs in that picture there.
I think,
Yeah,
Let me see.
I move to adjourn the RDA meeting and reconvene the city council meeting.
Second.
okay, motion by Councilman Broderick, seconded by Councilman Jacobs. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'd like to take just a 5-minute break here so we can all stand up for a minute. It's been 3 hours. Okay.
And those pictures just has made all of us smile.
I'm glad you guys all have a good sense of humor, so.
I thought Mike and I had gotten on the way.
Well, I think the key word is I put it in administrative position.
I did.
Made you guys the bad guys.
Both sides.
Hit the lawyer being a bad guy.
Leaving it as is if they can't agree when there's no imminent development yet,
Then I said it,
see what happens.
make it look like he's
Taking care of it.
Sorry to abandon you.
So as opposed to,
Time of need.
yours, I said it's a city planner, so it has stuff in the
And
background.
you're right, these totally kicked the Eagle Mountain.
Did you see theirs?
Yeah, I did, they got it on their face.
It's like a cartoon, so,
But
yeah, it totally made you look like a city planner, man. Check that out. So.
I am too. After seeing that, I'm like, oh geez, this thing's going nowhere fast.
Ashley, sorry you gotta be here so late.
It was fun listening to it.
All right, that's good. We got a couple more things to do here before we get to you, so,
I will silently work.
all right.
We didn't have anything to do either of you guys. Well, pays the same to me.
You're getting paid? Yeah.
Well,
And
it's
honestly,
talking
they
about
stepped
6,
out
but it doesn't count either way.
You think Martin will be? Yeah, I think Martin will be very good with it. Right. Because he's gonna get what he wants. Right. Mr., I don't remember Pacific States still, Olson, Mr. Olson, he's gonna, he controls it all. Because nothing's going through there until he majority votes. So,
Didn't love the eminent domain comment.
I really had this stuff.
Like, come on.
We never.
We were like, not on the doorstep of taking property.
That is a very common thing, because you get a tax break. If your property is sold or donated under threat of domain, you get a huge tax break.
Oh, interesting.
And so we do that all the time. When we purchase property, we send out a letter that says, hey, this is taken under the threat of eminent domain to help those property owners with tax.
That wasn't sales tax.
Yes.
And a lot of those we haven't incentivized. I mean, we've never done
Yeah.
other business.
So it's
I mean,
something,
even like
I
Walmart.
mean, we could just, yeah.
Walmart, we didn't incentivize them. So, I don't know.
Thought maybe we could just get them up to speed on it. Or like, move stuff right now. So, it'll be brief. Okay. Oops, sorry.
If we were, I was gonna cut them. That's all right. Is YouTube still running? I haven't looked.
Keith looks
Yeah.
really good. I hope so, yeah.
It says it is.
You just look roguish. You just,
Am I in the empire or am I a good guy?
no, you're a good guy. That's the,
Listen, the rebels need mechanics too.
yeah.
Spaceship mechanics.
I thought I died in episode 4, is that?
Oh, is that me? With the beard?
No, going down into the planet.
It's like this.
The Death Star.
That's me.
Almost there, almost there.
Not how bad.
Something at my desk. In my spot, my table.
Maybe that?
What, is that something you think I ought to see?
That was nice. Able to grab some dinner and still listen.
Could be that. I don't think so.
Star.
So now we have to pass this ordinance.
We are the Death Star.
So violent.
Because this was not part of
Just
the
violent. That makes us Darth Vader and all that.
Yeah, we're ready for mini.
Just a large in stature guy that looks, I don't know.
Let's get back to
None of us fit.
reconvene our meeting here. So we are back to
Item 12.
item number 11.
I do think we need to do 11 still,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay,
which is just the final.
The ordinance part, yeah.
okay. So this is just a follow-up to what we were discussing in the RDA? The
Correct.
RDA within the CDA, within the PTSA,
Wow. Go, Mayor, go.
all right, whatever order that is. All right, thank you. We'll let Mr. Cowie report on this.
Mike mentioned earlier, so as part of dissolving the RDA, those three that have expired, those areas, you've adopted as the RDA, the resolutions to dissolve those, and now as part of the statute, it requires that the city has to then also pass an ordinance that dissolves the expired RDAs. So this officially ends all of our contracts between the city and the RDA for services that those entities were using on their behalf, so. Any questions on that?
Steve,
So
push the button.
The
All
next
right.
page
Blow it
is the
up.
ordinance.
I'm gonna push the Death Star button. So I move to approve ordinance 2026-6-0 as presented.
I second.
All right, motion by Councilman Stewart, seconded by Councilman Jacobs. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The ayes have it. That is passed. Item number 12, this is a review and action. I'd like to invite our Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Heath Bateman. He's going to present to us all of our mini grant applications, and we will decide the awards.
Yeah, what a great year. We had a lot of people apply. I think, except for the last year, maybe have we done it for 2, you allowed more than the $15,000 in award because we had people, but at that time, we were able to award everybody everything at the $17,000 or $18,000 where we were. But we had some new groups come out of the woodwork. Remember, I included this in that box in your report. The qualifying organizations requesting funds must be a nonprofit with their 501(c) status. They must have or commit to have a significant presence in Lindon, and they must have performances, events, and activities inside of Lindon City for the benefit of Lindon City residents. So what I did, just so you know, I took these applications and I reviewed them. I think they all pretty much, because of their plan of what they'd like to do, they fit that category of doing something in Lindon, for Lindon. Some of the asks were quite big. And then we've got a situation like Lindon Elementary, who has been awarded year after year after year after year. So their arts program is really amazing. So from those 7 applications, are there any questions about any of them that you might have?
So when they request, for example, Lindon requested 8856, and they specified 3 specific areas. If we were to pass it at the recommended amount, 5256, are they required to put it in those 3 areas? Are they required anywhere specific, or we're just saying, here you go?
No.
Do what you want.
They will be required to turn in their after-season summary report on those events that you guys decided, that y'all decided was where they want to focus this donation to. So, and I checked with those ones, except for the Nashville lady, she didn't call me back, but I checked with the others, what do you want most and what would fit for you best? Like Lindon Elementary is a good example. They would love to have a mic set, but would much rather have the scripts. So their ask is for really, we decided that if I made a recommendation, it would be for the kiln and for the scripts and not the mic set. But I put in there what they actually did request, so you know.
One of the things too for council, Steve and I have reviewed these over the years, and in the application it says if you are not awarded the full amount, can you still carry off what you're trying to do? And so some of them say, if I don't get the full amount, no, I don't have additional means or funds to do this. So that's something that.
And all of those mayors, all the ones that we talked to this time agreed that they would make it work with the part or portion that we recommended.
6 and 7 were both ones that looked that they significantly less than what they were requesting.
And 5 requested 8,000, although last year it was a little bit less than that, but they're gonna have to come up with money now just for the building rental. Because remember, that garden pipe band, it really was about the $6,000 level that paid for all of their reservation fees, which all they do is I award them the check and they pay it back to the city.
Yeah, that's
So
what I was gonna ask.
And it's been nice for them, and they have been great tenants and have done some amazing things. So some of the smaller grant requests, like the United Angels Foundation, they do those special needs classes in our building. That's another one. That building is a great portion of the amount that we're allowing them for the rental. The Chantanette Lady Choir really would really like to use the Vets Hall for their opening and closing social. But they sing in the spring gardens, and they make available their free concerts to anybody at any time. And they've got a lot of Lindon ladies that participate in that large group as well.
And I think one of the things that's important to note is some of these, like Heath is mentioning, it's not really out-of-pocket cash for the city. Sometimes these turn into pretty significant partnerships in a way because they're providing activities or classes or different things for people in the community to enjoy. It's almost like an extension of our recreation programs. Is that fair to say?
So I think
And
it
then
fits
the
pretty
money
well.
is kind of a wash because it's in kind for use of
And often when the
facilities.
building is empty, not necessarily on Thursday nights when the garden, but I get requests for Thursday nights. And they're kind of in there, but we're not losing any revenue because other times are available. If maybe we could ask, maybe we could just look at number 6, Nashville and the Rockies. They want to have a large concert in this area, in this venue. And I had a hard time figuring with the other asks that we would pay for travel, and pay for hotels for a Nashville artist when there's some pretty good talent around here. And I understand that they want to make it big, but that's why that one was cut down to just maybe a venue rental for them if they wanted to.
Is that in Lindon?
They wanted to do it in Lindon.
What venue?
They didn't specify, really.
Is there a way for us to make sure we don't give them $2,000 and they go
Yeah.
play in Orem or?
Yeah, that'll be specified that it has to be here. And then they're not eligible again if they don't turn in their year-end report.
Okay.
They aren't eligible for the next year. Sorry, go ahead.
No, are you finished on them?
I was just gonna move on to number 7. Are
That
you
was
okay with that?
what I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Go ahead, tell us about
The
7.
Unity Gospel Choir approached the mayor and I just recently and just barely got their application in on time because they'd heard about this, and I'm not so sure where
I
they
can
heard
kind of
about it.
share.
Yeah, yeah, go
Deborah
ahead.
Bonner, the really well-known Bonner family. So Yehosh sang at one of our Christmas events a couple of years ago, and you know the Bonner family, African-American family, super talented musically.
He and his brother are on stage once on
Yeah.
this island at the
Yeah,
roof.
so they perform professionally. They do a lot of videos. They're pretty high profile, but Deborah's the mother of the clan, and she has a really amazing program of gospel choir music. It's not just religious, but it's just all uplifting music. So they've been rehearsing in Trucordia here in Lindon. They've been like a corporate sponsor, just allowing them to use their space. And they recently had a performance. It's a free choir for people to join. And they had a gala fundraiser they invited me to. And the stories of how they really do transform lives, it's really quite remarkable, people getting involved in this. And they said, we want to partner with Lindon City. We're already in Lindon. We want to now start a children's choir initiative. This other one has been adult. So they they said that we want to be an arm of Lindon City Recreation, where we provide this children's choir. And so again, I think a lot of the funding here is for use of space. So they came and met with Heath and I. We showed them the vet hall, and they have big plans. Like if it could start out once a week, kids could come to the choir, and then they would have they have a professional pianist, jazz pianist. He's pretty amazing. He lives in Vegas. They fly him up, or he travels up every Thursday for their things they're doing with the adult groups. And so they would have him also stick around to work with the youth. And he can he's just incredible. And then they talked about they have other professional people who would they could start professional acting, drama. They had a whole bunch of ideas of how it could potentially expand, so.
This, Mayor, as I recall, we're going over their grant. This grant request is not for that children's choir. It's for their choir. And so, because we were so jammed with time, they didn't know what they should ask for, and it wasn't put together yet. So that might need to be clarified because they want to start the children's choir as a partnership, but this request was for their regular choir.
Okay.
To fly their people in and hire their professional.
But I think the goal was that they would do the adult and children's in conjunction. they've pretty much announced publicly starting the youth version of what their initiative, their mission.
Yeah, so as the grant was written, we'll have to split hairs if we want to on that, because they just wanted it for their regular choir, not the children's choir. But, and they're pretty specific. You can look, you can peruse
Okay,
that if you
I
want
didn't have a
and see
chance
what you
to read
think.
it.
So that fits pretty well. So what I did at the end, you can see that I took those tables and just kind of looked at it a couple of different ways. Way number one is if we go with all organizations benefit a little, and everybody gets a chunk of the pie. You have the ability, of course, to decide that those that are for the best interests of the Lindon to fund completely, which would be kind of the table number 2. And that's not the order that they were received. That was the order in which I could foresee that being a immediate benefit to the schools and to the art programs. This is the first time in a long time Rocky Mountain Elementary has applied. And they want to do a show, and they wanted mic packs and a script set as well. Or you could do it, I just figured that we could do it those couple ways, or we can award whatever we want. But there was a $38,686 ask this year. So whatever you'd like to do there, if there's questions.
What's the total amount available?
Oh, it's 15,000 budgeted. So they're over.
So all of this is over budget, okay.
But I took that, because of the last 2 years in option number 1, I took that and got it close to what you've approved in the last year or two, which is 18, though that's going to be 19. I think it was 18,000 last year that you approved, and everybody got what they wanted.
Right.
With the band, the pipe band, they've itemized the space rental, but with the Unity Gospel Choir and the Angels, it's just in kind. So I don't know if it makes sense to take off the 7,000 ask, or if it makes sense to add in the actual amount they would need to rent our facilities. I know it's just changing purses,
Right.
but so anyway.
And that,
I'm fine with either of those solutions, because I'm guessing the pipe band, if we told them we'll just, anyway.
make you a partner rather than exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just similar to the other.
It looks easy, it looks good this way on paper when I have them apply, because then we know exactly.
But is it determined that they are gonna use I don't know, it's determined that they're gonna use our space, though.
The pipe band does.
The pipe band is, but the other two aren't.
Yeah, when it says in kind.
Is that the choir?
Space provided in kind?
This,
Wait, that's a good point. Maybe we're not the ones who are the in kind.
Yeah, like on 7, space provided in kind, what does that mean?
for the Unity Choir, they wanna use our space. But I tell you, I don't know, this was like within a week before the deadline that we made our first contact. So I think they just jammed something together to get in the conversation. I'm not even sure they realize what it costs to rent a full rental. So that in kind, they just wanna take the portion that they didn't specify, and they really didn't do a very good job specifying.
Yeah.
That they would just make it work at their ask. Their biggest desire is to bring in this jazz musician and anybody else they contract and hire to bring in to help the choir and the kids' choir.
The choir would be weekly. This Nashville thing is kind of a one-off event.
Deborah asked for she'd take it daily. I mean,
Deborah said she would expand daily if she could.
if she could do it.
That's what in my mind, kind of the one-off event is a less impactful
I agree.
than a program that is ongoing and local.
Yeah, the Nashville one didn't really speak to me for those reasons.
Yeah, I would.
And our concert
that.
series also provides that.
If you
you take out Nashville and go with the recommendation amounts that you put, it's 16,921.
And is that with the 7,000 bagpipe?
Not really, I think
'Cause
you're
it'd be
just looking
less.
at the numbers, even though it's in the same purse.
Yeah, because then it's even less in that way.
So the bagpipers perform at our memorial program, and they're in our parade. And if they don't get the full 8, they have to now somehow pay a lease. to
Yeah, I
lease
did
the
their
space.
math, and I'm sorry I didn't write it down, but I think for all the building dates they wanted, it would just be over 6,000. And I think that's what they had last year. So I called them and talked to Clary, who turned in the application, and she said, boy, this is so nice, we'll do whatever we have to do, you know, if it's a little bit less, then we'll make it work. I don't know if they offer dues. I do know that they offer lessons to Lindon residents at no cost, and that's also not bagpipes, that's drums. They do a big drumming section. So I like what they offer.
Yeah, we have a good track record with them. I would be inclined, I think 5 might be too low. I think it might be nice to continue to at least give them a wash on their cost to use the space and open it up for everyone to attend for free. Continue that.
I better get some notes up here.
Yeah, I love this program. I'm very comfortable with your recommendations and you administering this program. Or, you know, I'll bring up that we're able to do this cool program because of the park tax. And I don't think there's anyone who markets the park tax better than Lindon Elementary. I'm serious. I mean, there are signs everywhere. They announce it over the microphones. Hey, your children are about to perform, and it's because of the park tax that we have these instruments. And so I'm biased towards Lindon Elementary, but I appreciate the partnership that they're, you know, and so I'm comfortable.
Well, Lindon Elementary, I mean, their request is 8856. So did they indicate?
Yeah, he just took out the microphone packs and sound equipment.
Okay, so the pottery kiln is more of a priority to them?
It is.
At this point?
Yeah. And the script, because they can rent mics, although what she'd like to do is start that whole, another section of arts over there. And like you were saying, Jake, they always ask me for stickers. Every one of those ukuleles has a sticker on it that says park tax, and the banners, they ask me for banners every year. So, yeah, they said, we can do without the mics. We'd love to have them. We know it's a big ask, but we'd really like to do a musical and they've got district approval for electrical, where they're gonna put the kiln and things like that, at least for this year,
Well, and I like that you're taking a good look at this. When people hear free money, I'll ask for 8,000. You know what I mean? And so I think you're handling this the right way. However you want to split it, I'm comfortable where anyone wants to end up here.
We budgeted 15,000, and this is all the way down to 18. Does that?
I think I'm comfortable with that. You look at the park tax and what it's produced in years past. We've never once underestimated what it will produce. It always produces more than our projections, 12 years running. And so I'm confident we will do that again this year, and there'll be an additional 3,000 to use specifically to Parks and Rec. And I just think this is such a great program. I think of all the other things we could use it on, and this unique partnership with community members is as good as anything.
And I appreciated the comments, Mayor, you made in our meeting with the Timpanogos School District to bring this up and make sure that they understood that. I don't think they were aware that this was occurring.
Agreed.
Were you suggesting option 1, Jake?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with option 1. I don't want to step on anyone's toes.
Option 1 is giving the Nashville Rockies 2,000. I'm a little more skeptical of that.
I would approve that with the deletion of the Nashville,
And I would if
putting
Garden,
that 2,000 toward Lindon Elementary.
or
What if we split it with,
Splitting it,
Valley
yeah.
Pipe Band needs a little bit more
Oh,
to cover their rental.
yeah, I forgot
get
that
there.
that was.
So Garden Valley, you said to just have a wash on the space usage, they need about 6?
I think it's pretty close to that, yeah. Of course, they would adjust their practices to whatever they get, you know, they just cut it off in summer early or a little bit later. They're great to work with, they take care of the building, they're just a good partner.
That's what I thought.
What's the balance on the park tax fund?
So we have you have a significant fund balance, but we're earmarking it for things potentially in the future. And so checking with Kristen, she felt like in that 19,000 range is totally doable. This would dramatically change things, but you have the ability, I mean, you could make this $100,000.
Right.
I mean, but that's gonna change how we're paying for some other things in the city. And so, but the 19 range, she was totally comfortable going more than the 15 that's budgeted.
Because if we did the full ask of everyone except, well, the full ask of our previous applicants, and then didn't charge the pipe band their rent, so they only needed $1,000, and then gave $2,200 to the gospel choir to pay for the professional, and not include Nashville Rockies, that would put us at 18,000.
And that begs the question, I know we had the policy of, hey, you gotta pay a rental fee, because we had some groups come and say, oh, we're gonna do all this for the city, and then sometimes it didn't really materialize, so we said, okay, we need to have a policy. There's a room rental, and
Yeah.
it's a wash through the mini.
Sweetheart deals we got rid of. Yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, the discussion you and I had with Unity Gospel Choir, and you mentioned, Heath, that maybe it's time with the Garden Valley Pipe Band, they've proven their return on investment, their value in the community, and we do just pull them in and say, this is an extension almost of Parks and Rec in a way. I mean, is that, it's
Well,
kind
it'd
of
be
what you're
interesting
saying,
to- Yeah.
we just don't charge them a rental. I just don't think we can be
It's
subjective.
It's really hard for us to do that, though, without a contract or something that you guys are approving. For us to just say, we're gonna waive this
Yeah.
group's fee, but
We
not
can't do
that
it one
group's
or the
fee.
other.
Because then the other two we need, well, they would have to come up with money to rent, and maybe they can. But there's just 2 applicants that have seemed to suggest that part of their grant would be an in-kind donation of
Right, and they haven't
building
specified
space.
funds.
So we would just need to tell them they have to price that out.
And I think
Like the
that's what,
Chantinettes they're $1,500 if that was the Veterans Hall.
Their actual cost for the Veterans Hall is the recommendation that I made.
Okay, so then we only have
$785.
one that's,
Yeah.
but I think what the Unity Gospel Choir was
oh,
saying
United
is
Angels as well.
they would like to be just an arm of Parks and Rec is
Sure.
their goal. I
Or
mean,
an
we
arts
would-
council.
Right.
I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how well that fits just in our other programs. We, you know, the football, tackle football is an extension of us, but we do nothing with that but give them ground. Because the kids that they play, so we don't take their funds or do any fundraising for them. It's just that's a part of, that we don't offer that fits our Lindon kids, so we have a partnership with them.
And it's advertised as a Lindon Parks and Rec
But that's
program.
about it
Yeah.
on those programs. So if we want the Unity Choir to come in, you know, do we change that to the Lindon Unity Choir? And how does Deborah feel about that? I mean, she'll lose some anonymity, or not anonymity, that's the wrong word, some recognition on that and some independence, to be honest with you. Because she'll come under our umbrella and we'll do as we think we need to do.
I think she's wanting this to be duplicated in other cities, potentially further away from Lindon than just next door, but
You know, Mayor, there was another
beta.
thought too. A couple of times Deborah said on the phone, or the other gal, Holly, anyway, she said, this fits so well with communities that care, because the children's choir is made to stop sadness and depression, and they reviewed our stuff we have online. She says, wow, this fits really good. I have not checked with Jamie to see if she could put a program like this in her grant and extend the reach of non-smoking in the non-smoking grant, and that might be able to fund a program in a different way. It is certainly park tax eligible with park tax money. But I think they'd be just excited to have a good place to practice. But the kids choir, becoming a Lindon City Kids Choir, that's what it would amount to.
Just as an FYI, so 2 years ago, you approved 15,000, 3 years ago, 15,000, a year ago, 3 years, 15,000, 2 years, 6,000. This last year, you're at 19.4, and this year you approved 15.
All right, council, let's hammer this out and get going. What are you thinking here? We're looking at option 1, but making a couple tweaks. Is that what we're thinking here? Okay, so are we all unanimous that we're not particularly interested in the Nashville and the Rockies?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so just strike that. And then the Garden Valley, so we're saying take that how are we, right now, that total for recommendation 1, option 1 is 18,921. Is that a budget amount you feel good about appropriating this time, or more, less, or is that something you're happy with?
Feels right. I'm good.
Seeing a couple nods.
And,
I could do
Okay,
and
so
maybe the
then-
2,000 just put directly to the pipe band, because Lindon Elementary has already said they'd, accept the
would
one
rent the
without the.
mics
Yeah,
instead
rent
of
the
own
mic
the
pack,
mics.
and that-
Another thought about that is Rocky Mountain, being the first-time applier, I cut $1,100 off of their request, and it was all show. It was another set of mic packs. So, I mean, they're not like Rocky Mountain where they've had year after year after year after year after year. So, if there's a little extra money, it might be a good thought to help Rocky Mountain. But I'm happy to help the pipe band and Lindon Elementary get their stuff. So it's used so well and so visual.
So if we went with number 1, with Lindon Elementary getting 5,256, Rocky Mountain getting its full 3,150, United Angels, they're at 1,380, but they also have the undescribed in-kind facility usage. The Chantinettes, if they got the 1,500, the 5,000, and the 2,500 for the gospel choir, that's 18,786. So Lindon wouldn't get the mics, and then the pipe band would have 3,000 less than their full ask.
I second the motion.
That's pretty, it's close, but. It's just like second.
I like it.
Because the mics is kind of a big deal. If you've gone to these plays, which I have, you've been to the plays, and you can't hear it, it's like kind of pointless a little bit. Not pointless, but it's so disheartening when the kids work so hard and they can't
They said
hear
they
them.
would rent rather than own. Is that what you
But
understood?
mics for Rocky Mountain or for Lindon?
Well, both. We've taken out the mics from Lindon.
Right, so I would hesitate to give Rocky Mountain first time when Lindon's been going and then they've requested mics
That's
and not
true.
give them to them.
That's a good, fair.
Although Lindon's gotten a lot more funding over the years, a lot.
Good point.
And even this ask is. Unless you want to bump up the total.
Yeah, 'cause if
round
you-
it to 20.
If you gave, to do the mics, you'd need to round to 22,386 if that was the only adjustment.
The full.
If you gave them the full. And everyone the full except the gospel choir, and then
The Chantinettes.
the Chantinettes would get their full ask. And because I guess that covers their rental. So they're paying just like the bagpipe people are paying. And then the bagpipe, theirs has been reduced by 3,000, but they need 6,000 to pay us?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Changing purses, like you were saying.
That arrangement, 6,000 would make it 23,386.
I mean, if we look at, another way to look at it financially is which ones are on-site, and so it's just a wash of exchanging
Yeah.
dollars on a page versus those that are off-site, it's actual a cash outlay. You know, there's a hard cost versus a soft cost on some of these.
Which
I
was
mean,
kind of the way I looked at option 3.
Yeah.
If you wanted me to rank arbitrarily, past and good usage, did I say 3? I meant funding for organizations closely related to Lindon 2, yeah.
Okay.
Where we ran out of money at the $8,000 for that, but some of those others didn't get any part. And that was not all the Lindon Elementary PTA ask. You tell me where to fund them and I'll make sure they get them.
You're awesome.
Did you feel comfortable with Lindon Elementary getting 52, 56? And Rocky Mountain, their full ask or just the 2,000?
Full ask and challenge them to be as communicative about how wonderful the park tax is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
Like
go.
Lindon Elementary.
And the United Angels ask, most of that is in the building in kind, so they're not gonna get very much out of that. So you okay with 1380 for them?
the Chantinettes likewise,
1,500?
just a wash.
Comes back to us.
And then the Garden Valley, you wanna see if we can give them their whole ask?
They were putting down that their building rental was 7, but you, on the application, but you said you think it's 6.
Yeah,
Closer to
it's right,
6.
yeah, it's right around 6, a little over 6, when I just looked up their dates for last year. So unless they've got plans on doing more. But they can make 5,000 work, they can make 6,000 work, they can make 7,000 work.
And they've been a good
Yeah.
group to have. All right,
We gotta move forward.
much
Someone make
on
a motion.
How much on the pipe band?
So
do you wanna do
they
there?
got 6,000 last year.
6,000.
So I just think you should have it at that
Maintain
level,
it, yeah.
if we're just getting all the money
They'll be
back
happy.
anyway.
They'll be happy with that. And then we struck Nashville and then the United Gospel Choir. You okay with 25 to them?
we could start with that. and-
What's the new total? Have you?
19,786.
Yeah, that's what I got too.
Okay, so we're just under 20, but hard cost is only about, hard cost is a lot less.
Yeah, because they're paying
lot
us
of-
back.
There'll be a lot of happy organizations and
That's
very
awesome.
thankful. So,
Okay, I move. I don't know how to.
To approve what we just talked
To
about.
approve the park tax mini grants as outlined,
Maybe that numbered, that 19,
comes to 19,786,
distributed as. he sees
distributed
fit.
as instructed.
And I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Hooley, second by Councilmember Hoyt. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
bye.
Thanks, Heath.
Thank you, Heath.
You betcha.
All right, we are now on item number 13. This is also review and action of our solid waste disposal contract with Republic Services.
So we have Ashley Colley is here with us. She is a representative from Republic Services, so thanks, Ashley, for coming.
Thanks for hanging in there.
And so, let me close this here. This is just kind of summarizing the agreement that you have in place in front of you in your staff report. We've been contracted with Republic Services for a long time. It's probably been 20 years. And so we had several opportunities to renew or extend an existing contract. This is an addendum to an existing contract. that we've had in place. It's a 3-year extension. And let me just kind of outline what's in this proposal. In the first year, this coming fiscal year, there would be a 6% increase. And we've discussed with you previously in a prior meeting to be able to handle that increase collectively with our garbage and recycling. We have a fund balance as a city, and that balance kind of ebbs and flows as new accounts sign on or as people drop cans or things. And so it's built up a little bit, and Kristen feels that we can absorb for garbage that full 6% increase this first fiscal year. For recycling, we would absorb 1% and then pass on a 5% increase to our customers. And so just to the right there would be our current rate for garbage then for this proposed fiscal year would not change, and then the recycling would go up just that little bit, about 30 cents or so. On the contract then on year 2 and 3, it creates a floor of a 2.5% increase and a ceiling of a 6.5% increase. And these increases are based off of the Consumer Price Index, the CPI. There's a specific garbage and trash listing out of hundreds of things that they index. Just as a FYI, in some prior years, here's some of those rates. January to January of this last 25 to 26 was about 5%. But February to February is what the contract says. And so you can see in one of those years, it would have capped at that 6.5% ceiling. But traditionally, we're hovering around that 5% increase every year.
The floor, realistically, it probably won't go below that, but is that necessary to have in there?
That was something that I'll let Ashley discuss.
Because I prefer it not to be in there personally.
We tried to negotiate some different options there, and that's what Republic felt, I think, to help keep up with inflationary costs, but I'll let Ashley speak to that. So.
Yes, please come forward.
So good evening. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being patient with me, Madam Mayor and Council. So first of all, wonderful to be here in Lindon. My name's Ashley. I previously worked with the city with Reese DeMille, who used to be a rep for the city. He left. I went to California with Republic. Now I'm back. So it's a pleasure to be here. So first of all, we have a longstanding partnership with you. We really appreciate it. Straightforwardly, we really appreciate, too, your just geographical significance with the transfer station. It's very helpful to us. So looking at this contract, we previously have been capped at a 4% under this previous amendment that really hurt us. Just transparently, cost of service has gone up so much. We've tied your annual price increase to the garbage and trash CPI, but again, just honestly, the cost of doing service for us is always going to be above 3%. So I got a hard bargain from Adam. I'm not going to say on record what the official ask was from my higher-ups in area, but it was higher than what he got out of me. And this is what we came to. I have to get my area approval to put these prices together. It's a long process. They have a big spreadsheet, no formula. So we put in 2.5. That's where we feel like we're always going to be having to pay more, hire drivers, et cetera. But we're good with that amount. We can take that floor. Ceiling, hopefully it doesn't get up to that with the economy, but you never know. But that's Councilmember Hewley. That's where that came from.
Will that help with service delivery? We had, I think, 2 instances where Republic couldn't help us out as intended this last year.
So I wasn't here. I was in California, but I came back. I've known about that. It's an industry-wide challenge, and here in Utah County, we have had challenges hiring drivers with CDLs. We've raised our rates and our wages, hence, that 2.5 floor. We feel really good about it right now. Our trucks are holding up. We continue to hire. We're even offering people who are interested in getting their CDL to go out to Texas, and we'll pay for it. So we're feeling better and good. So yes,
thanks.
Fingers crossed. I can't promise it will always be perfect, but that's what we hold ourselves to.
Just curious, can You share what does a driver make on
I
average?
don't have that with me right now. Yes. But I can bring it back, yeah.
All right, council, we did have kind of a heads up from staff on this, what to expect. And we did already have that discussion about absorbing some of the increase for our residents. We had that ability to do so. My recollection, having been on the council all these years, is that it has been a very good relationship and partnership. And I remember many times Reese saying, hey, we're increasing this city this much, this city that much, and he would hold it for us quite often. So we appreciate those accommodations.
Something that's been beneficial for us that's remaining in the contract is right now Republic actually covers the cost of emptying all of our city facilities. And so we do not pay for garbage services disposal for any city facilities. So that was something that we kicked that around as an option, but we would prefer to keep that. So.
And you are our only city that has that benefit, so.
Yes.
Don't tell the others yet.
Oh, we're telling them. Put it on the Facebook with the Star Wars stuff. Lincoln, you're my garbage guy. You feeling okay about this?
Yes.
Okay, so am I. Appreciate the conversations at ULCT as well. Appreciate you helping us wrap our heads around it. I'm comfortable as well.
Are you the motion man is what he's asking.
All right. This is yours, Lincoln.
I move to approve the Southwest contract addendum with Republic Service as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Jacobs, our trash czar.
I like that.
Councilmember Stewart.
His
Any further
assistant czar.
discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and may the 4th be with you.
There you go.
Nice sign off.
All right. Okay. That takes us now to item number 14. This is a telecommunications franchise agreement with First Digital, review and action.
So First Digital actually has some infrastructure in our community. They've put in some things and then have changed, from what I can gather, they've changed some parent company, ownership issues, and they wanted to get a separate agreement that was just First Digital instead of through a subsidiary or a parent company. And so we've sent them a sample agreement that we've used in the past. They were just fine with it, signed it, sent it back, and they paid their application fee. So this is a draft that we've actually prepared as a city. We're comfortable with this being approved 100%. So.
Awesome.
What's the piece about the automatic renewals? Is that just
So-
save time? That was the only thing that made me go like, do we want to have a hard stop so that we can evaluate them?
Where they have infrastructure buried in our streets to say at some point we're going to term this agreement and not allow it to continue. I don't know.
Pretty strange.
Yeah, why we would do that. They pay a tax that comes through. It's tax to end users. Clearly, that's part of the tax that we pay for our utilities or for these different services. But I'm comfortable with that automatic renewal. And so the other thing, it does provide a little bit of a protection for us. We did have a similar instance with another franchise agreement that it had expired, and for us to then enforce something that's problematic for us to say, hey, we have an agreement that says you'll take care of this issue because of your utility caused it, and then if our agreement's expired, that can be problematic. But
And have you ever had problems with the restoration clause? It's like as it was instead of as it should be. Like if it was a cracked sidewalk and pretty lousy to begin with, they're not going to make a cracked sidewalk. But I just thought, well, no, we would.
What section is that? Do you recall?
Restoration.
It was a
clause.
restoration section.
Yeah, restoration clause.
Any concerns, Brian?
No, that is just the standard language that they're not gonna want us to, again, what that usually applies to is if we've got a, 3-foot sidewalk that's there, we can't make them come in and put a 6-foot
Yeah.
sidewalk in. That's where it's at, and it's very standard that we repair it to the condition.
That's fine.
4.8 if you're looking for it.
Yeah, that's cool. It's not searchable, or else I'd just tell you to.
Yeah, sorry about, I just put in the scanned copy that they sent back.
No, you're
and
good,
so-
you're good. Thanks, those are my questions.
Well, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I move to approve the franchise agreement with First Digital as presented.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Stewart, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. All right, we'll get that signed away tonight. All right, we're now going to go into our last item on the agenda. This is item number 15, to have a closed session.
I move to enter a closed session to discuss potential purchase or sale of real property.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Stewart, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. We'll go ahead and,
Roll call vote.
do we do
Aye, or do you want it with
do
the?
that on the new recording, don't we?
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say,
To go into the closed
to
session.
go into the closed session, we need a roll call vote.
Van Broderick, aye. Lincoln Jacobs, aye.
Cole Hooley, aye.
Carolyn Lundberg, aye.
Jake Hoyt, aye.
Steve Stewart, aye.